style for the trade.
And the upstart Sooners of Oklahoma at 12-0 and still looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning into another episode of the Barry and Mack Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer, sports coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and alongside me, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ, Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing this Sunday afternoon, D. Mack?
Doing well. Excited to be on Postgame Pod. We had an interesting game yesterday. I posted my 10 thoughts on OUI. It was a snoozer. But there were some themes that I think are important to address. Obviously, there were some developments in terms of players who are essentially getting tryouts. Speak to Hawkins, speak to Ott, right? Those two guys come to mind immediately. Defense incredible in a lot of capacities. I also want to speak to some vanilla in terms of we just played very base coverage. So we'll go into more details about that. And then offensively, I'm still in the wait and see with Arbuckle. I believe in my heart of hearts, just watching film and knowing what I know, that there is more to unfold. And I think the SEC big boys were getting ready to play. He has purposely and intentionally, I hope. Okay, this is some hopium, Barry. But I do think there are components of the offense that he hasn't unveiled yet. But I look at the position groups on offense and I legitimately have some concern. I also legitimately see an ability for the players to do better when put in better positions or more strategically schemed positions. And so we'll talk about that too. But overall, I'm glad we played. If you guys listen to our midweek, we went on hours upon hours of rants just because we had a bye the week prior. I know, right? That was fun. I had a good time. By the way, you guys are killing the comments. That was the live comments was smacking, and the post comments were cool too. So, yeah, I'm going into OU Texas. It's OU Texas week, so you know what I'm saying. Regardless, it is what it is. I just wish material was healthy. I'll leave it at that for now.
Facts, and we'll keep up with that as the week progresses. Did see him at the game. He was suited up, had the brace on the hand. Obviously, I know they saw the image of the bandage before. The brace is there. You don't want to get that thing hit. You don't want to risk a player running into it. He falls and trips when he comes out, for warm-ups. Like, there's so many things that factor into why you're wearing a brace like that. And at the end of the day, it's just a protective measure that the team wants to take. But one thing that did get protected in this one, D-Mac, was the end zone. Sooners first shutout since 2023. Did not let Kent State score. And before we jump into all of it, want to remind everybody, OU Insider is bringing you this podcast today. Go over there to ouinsider.com, get yourself a membership. Great, fantastic work they've done thus far this year, keeping up with the Mateer injury, all of the things behind the scenes with that. They've really kept the fans who are on the board in the loop. So if you're not a member, go over there, check out DMAC's 10 Thoughts. I was posting some stuff on X today just about the game and some of the plays and players, and we'll talk about that. Just some of the nuances individually where you're seeing players develop, and we'll discuss more of that on the board. But one of the top stories, D-Mac, as we get into the game, OU forces turnovers.
Hallelujah.
It's about time. So are you ready for the last turnover? I think they had none against Navy. So this would have been the last regular season game that they first forced a turnover. And do you know what that turnover was?
You talking about
prior trivia. Prior to yesterday, when was the last time OU forced a turnover, and what were the circumstances? Do you remember?
Would it have been the LSU first quarter where RMT gets the strip sack. I think it's RMT coming off the edge. Come on, man. You know I know my Sooners. Don't play
Yep.
with me, baby. I want to
So
say it was LSU first quarter.
so flip it. It's Halton getting the
Ah,
strip
facts,
sack
facts, facts, facts.
and then RMT. So you're
RMT.
right. It was kind of poetic
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that you get it like this, but you had multiple players record first. It was the most tackles by RMT in a game. He is dominating football right now. The
Yes.
defensive line for Oklahoma is shutting things down. I have a stat for you guys, myself, and then somebody else who looks at things and kind of helps me evaluate stuff. In general, in the first half, because if I tried to do the whole game, it's just an insane sample. Kent State, DMAC, had an average of 1.7 seconds before there was a Sooner player in the backfield. So you have to have executed the handoff, the throw, the drop back within less than 2 seconds. There's one play where PJ's unblocked DMAC, and this
I
is
saw it.
second half.
I saw it.
0.53 seconds was all that that player had to make a move before it snuffed out.
He blew
When
up
the
the
defense,
QB and the running back. He blew up the QB and the
yeah,
running back. He blew everybody up.
which is great
I
to
saw
see.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Great to
yeah.
see. So the fact that this is occurring as we talk about defense first, we'll bury the lead just a little. It is a massive change in the way this Sooner team is constructed as compared to the Sooner teams of the past, 5-10 years ago. The defense is the calling card. The defense can dominate football games, and they're doing so. They're number one in the SEC in every major category, top five in the country in every major category. And they've used these first 5 games to solidify those stats. And the team, I think they're right at 20 sacks on the year now. So something wild.
22, bro. I think they came into the game with
22.
18. They came into the game with
Yeah.
18. Let's say we got 5 or 5, so maybe 23. I think it's 23.
So that's killer. The secondary is playing good. You do see some different habits kind of rear their ugly heads, and things that I'm sure the
I'm gonna speak to
secondary
something that I
coaches are
saw.
going to work on with killer.
Yep.
So we'll do that. But I will say, in coverage, Kobe McKenzie, watched him closely. He has drastically improved this year, DMAC, in coverage, which is why I think he's getting the lion's share of those snaps. And I think come Texas, come some of these big games, you're going to see Sammy O out there. But Kobe, to me, has solidified himself as a leader and as a mainstay at that linebacker spot. And then you saw 9 Sooners in this one get play who have not played before. You saw at the QB spot, you had Neubauer, you had Alex Shield Knight on the defensive line. You had Malik Hawkins get some run, rocking the 37 like his
I
dad.
saw that. I saw
Dad
that.
was in attendance. How cool is that? So massive game. We're going to start, though, on the defensive side of the ball, DMAC, and I guess we'll start with the really, really good, which was up front. Sooners hold them, I believe, to 17 yards on the ground. Any team held to 17 yards on the ground. That's a great day. That's doing exactly what you were supposed to do, along with the sacks, along with the turnovers, along with the forced action. So let's dive into it, DMAC. How did you feel the D-line played? And we're talking about ends, interior, everybody, from Okoye to Stone. Break
Yeah,
it
yeah,
down
yeah,
for
yeah.
us.
First things first, Chuck. I went to church today and went to the gym today. So I just Chuck been on Chuck. I see you been a little spicing it up. Chuck been
Yeah, man.
spicing it up. Best D line in decades. I again. Okay, so let me ask this again, and this was a theme last post pod. Y'all want milk and cookies, or y'all want steak and potatoes? And I ask because the way I answer Barry's prompts during this pod will be based upon if you guys want milk and cookies or if you guys want steak and potatoes. Milk and cookies is the game in a vacuum. The game for the game. Steak and potatoes is the Sooners relative to where our high aspirations are for the season. Let me know in the comments, milk and cookies or steak and potatoes, because I think there's 2 different ways to look at yesterday's game and the reflection or the impact it's going to have on the season. Somebody said both, right? Yeah, we need to have sunshine pumping. So anyway, um, if we're talking steak and potatoes, I say the front 7 is the aspect of the team we can depend on to be dominant in any game. One caveat. One caveat. Our defensive front has not dealt with adversity this year, meaning all the buttons that BV has pushed have worked, including Michigan. We had one play where both safeties and the corner, right, kind of screw up a play, and Haynes takes it 75 yards first play of the third quarter. Aside from that, they haven't really had adversity. I would say the only other piece of adversity is, and I called it out. I called it out on Twitter. BV made the adjustment in the second half. We didn't do it against Auburn. He was showing up pre-snap, and you saw Auburn make an audible and say, "I'm just going to go 1v1 my ex against your puppy." And they had opportunities in the first half. BV stopped doing that second half, and then Auburn didn't have the opportunity to take that moonball throw. And so I want to see what it feels like when our defense has adversity. Are they going to press? Are they going to be mentally sound? Are they going to be, have their run fits in order? It's going to happen. We've got too many good teams ahead of us on the schedule. And so that is the thing that I look to and say, our defensive front could 100% be front runners. And I hate that I'm talking like this in a game where we gave up. I think they had 5 yards of rushing in the fourth quarter, like
Mm-hmm.
legit 5 yards, right? Prior to us bringing in like the red shirts and the walk-ons. But I do know that that's a question a coach has to at least consider because they haven't seen it yet, right? We play Michigan, we give up the score, or excuse me, we play Auburn. We give up the score to be behind for a possession, and we immediately go back and score. We immediately go back and score. And so the defense doesn't have that pressure of we're making plays and you guys aren't, like they did all last year. You know what I'm saying? There were games last year where the defense played well enough to win and the offense couldn't get it together. That's the
Yep.
one thing I want to see defensively, especially on that front. Now, put that outside. Best D line. Listen, this is a D line. If they stay on the trajectory they are going on, and if they play exactly like they're playing now, the SEC schedule, which is ahead of us, they can compete with any of those greats. I don't know about the Selmans level of the 70s, but like those 80s D
Sure.
lines, those early 2000s D lines. I mean, they've got bona fide dudes, bona fide stars, and high level recruits who have panned out. And they've got program guys who've been in the system going on 3 and 4 years who have developed, right? Like that unit, you've got to give credit to those D line coaches because, I mean, they've recruited well, they've developed well, they took good transfers, and those guys are producing. And it's not one, it's not three, it's like 5 or 6 every game. That says a lot. Kudos, and it's something you definitely want to hang your hat on. Same thing can be said about backers. I know you brought up McKenzie, and my own personal opinion is you and I both noticed that his one area of weakness the last 2 seasons was his ability to cover. I think one, he's become a better athlete and gotten a better body. I think two, he has a clear, defined role for what is asked of him, whether it's zoning up and finding his area and hugging a guy like a matchup zone, or if he's in man
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities. I don't think that I've never seen him have to turn and run. It's always Kip turning running or Owen's turn. I mean, Owen Heineke turning running. So I think Coach understands him as a player well enough to put him in the position. Hey, you got the back, or hey, you're staying home. You got QB. You got QB on the spy. Things of that nature. And I think that's a really keen pickup by you because you're right. The first game of the season, I said, he was in error in one of those plays. In one of the play, they had a play. I do not remember. It was at least 8, but there was a play where there was error between him and who he had to cover, and I was like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't tight. Aside from that, I have not seen him have any loafs, busts, lack of athleticism plays the last 4 or 5 games, which is what are we 5-0? We're 5-0 or 6-0? 5-0.
5-0. 5-0.
The other 4 games, I haven't seen him have issues. Um, that front plus those 4 backers, there's 4 guys, they all start. And I've been watching very closely. I had a lot of critiques for Samuel the first 2 weeks. He had a lot of air, a ton, and he had some bad fits, and he had some bad tackling technique. The last 3 games, he's been nails. All of them
Much
have
better.
been all 4 of those guys nails. Safeties, I still am waiting to see the real Peyton Bowen step up. By the way, did he play?
He did. He did. They did a lot of 3 safety look, man, with like Boggs, Powers, and Bowen.
Yeah, I saw. By the way, I'm gonna speak to Powers as a deep safety. I saw some interesting things. A lot of people don't see. I saw some stuff,
Okay.
which I will speak to. Um, but safeties, again, game like that, like you said, bro, 1.5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't have time to test us, and they didn't have the. I think they literally sat their starter to make sure he didn't get injured, so that they could be competitive in their conference, which is,
In the MAC,
you know,
yeah.
it is what it is, right? Defense, man, I am thoroughly impressed by BV. I posted on Twitter. I said, well, let me digress. You remember I said off season. You asked me the question. You said, what do you think about BV as a CEO? And I said, I think one of the smartest things he can do, which is what he did, is to say, yo, I am probably I am chest out the tip of the sword of defensive coordinators in college football, right? Like at his best, BV is in the 1%. Why should I, as the CEO, force myself to be the face of everything when I don't have to in 2025? So I think it was extremely intelligent of him to say, I'm going to take over the defense because no one can do it better than me. As the CEO, I am going to promote, right, a C-suite executive to run my offense. You know what I'm saying? And give them free reign where I only make decisions as needed and key points and moments of the game. I think that was brilliant of him versus trying to do the way he did it the first 2 years, where I'm not going to call the defense because I'm the offense, I'm the head coach. I'm going to kind of be in the offense and wasting time where I'm not as talented in that space as I am nuancing the defense and getting an OC plus the support, the Kevin Wilsons of the world, right, to help really create an environment where offense can be itself, which I'm going to critique the offense when we get to it. I just think that was really smart on his behalf because our defense looks like BV is running the show. And I think he solidified the fact, it's literally a fact, that with him doing such, our defense is as good or better than any of those Clemson defenses. Think of the D lines that he had at Clemson, and a lot of the same players we have now who all of a sudden look like and are playing like those D lines at Clemson when they were winning natties. Like
Yep.
all of a sudden, the D line is, you know what I mean? The same players essentially playing out of their minds, backers as well, corners, safeties. Again, I'm going to tell you guys what I think, but I have some concerns. SEC receivers, there's every team has a 6'3", 6'4" dude who can go get it. And we're going to see how our guys compete with the quarterbacks who will not miss wide open receivers when the opportunity presents itself.
Man, just from an evaluation standpoint, having gone through, rewatched the game before we hopped on here, and to tidy up and wrap up what we're seeing on the defensive line, Okoye, I said I predicted he would have a big year, and it's just taken him a while to get going. He was phenomenal yesterday. The caveat, and we won't say it a ton, but it's Kent State. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, athleticism is athleticism. There's a play he has, DMAC, where he's literally the last off the line of scrimmage, still first in the backfield. Hit
Yeah.
crossover step where he's dragging the toe. He fully opens his shoulders, opens his hips one way, crosses over on the tackle, and the tackle has no chance. His bend might be better than RMT. He's just not girthy and doesn't have the strength that RMT has yet. But length, speed, explosiveness, Okoye is going to be a killer. I'll say one of the things, and I think OU will do this against Texas, and any running that Arch Manning might have is going to get washed up. OU stunts a lot on the interior just to almost have those tackles spy the action. Have you noticed that? Where they'll stunt, and if nothing's there, if they don't immediately get penetration, they're just kind of hanging with their guy and just making sure nothing gets inside of them. And I've noticed that with Stone. He's incredibly athletic going right or left. He was phenomenal in this one. You didn't have Jackson. So Stone gets his first start of his career, which is crazy. As impactful as he has been, he has not started any games. Goes out there, plays really well. His athleticism really showing up. It's great to see 97, like a Marvin Jones Jr., come in and there's no or minimal drop off from an RMT, right? You actually get a guy, you actually keep valuable depth, valuable assets on the field. Taylor Wine has played well. And I think you touched on it just to wrap it up. it's such a good blend of program guys, 5-star elite talent, and transfer portal. They have done such a good job building that area of the roster. You have to give BV, Nagy credit. And I think the last thing on it is with Venables. If Venables is not calling the defense this year, and let's say it's a Wes Godwin, right? And they're a 7 out of 10. The, Having Venables be the man who is calling your defense, who if he can take you, let's say from a 7 to like a 9.1, like that's the difference in winning a national championship or not. That's the difference between winning in the playoff, especially if your offense has days where it's not there. Like the edge and the schematic advantage you have from Venables handling the shots is big. But let's talk about secondary. There were some things. I'm just going to open the floor to you. I'm sure that we noticed some of the same stuff, but I'm curious to hear, starting at cornerback and then working back, what were some of the things you saw, a few of the negatives that might be impactful down the road?
I think number one, last or the Auburn game got into Guillory's head. He was a lot more what's the word? Tentative? Is that a word? What's the
Was
word
it
where you're
a
like
little more timid?
passive,
A little more,
timid,
yeah,
passive,
timid.
timid? He didn't have that same. You could see he kind of had the sparkle in his eye, like I'm that dude, right? And he was even getting national
Mhm.
acclaim by some of the pundits as one of the best freshmen in America. I think Kirk Herbstreit even said it on one of our games. But um, that's not my biggest gripe. My biggest gripe is, and I know the answer. Again, I know the answer, but it still just irks my soul. I want OU to have the confidence in their DBs to say we're going to play up and we're going to get them in the game. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be a part of the game, and we're unapologetically assertive in the notion that if you throw the ball, we're going to be there. I just think it's going to be so critical to have had that experience prior to playing against, um, even Texas. Now, no, 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 no. I think it's okay to play off against Texas. We want Arch to see ghosts, and we want Arch to not have pre-snap reads, right, where he knows where to go with the ball while our D line and our fronts are getting to him. So probably not Arch. But after that, these veteran QBs we got that are going to be coming, those guys, they've been on the block, and so playing so far off at the beginning of the game, it irked me. And I know why. I know exactly why we did it. We did it because in a game like that, and you want to put a team away in short order, you don't want to give them any confidence. You don't want to break the confidence of your guys, right? And all they need is a stutter and go. All they need is one guy, the DB falls down in a trail technique and the guy goes 80. You know what I mean? And it puts a damper on the whole day. Granted, I'm not going to blame Hawk, but Hawk's late on a post to Keontae's, which I said they're going to throw some double posts. And they ran the double post concept a couple times. He threw it a tick or two. He threw it 2 ticks too late. Let's be real. He threw it 2 ticks too late, and then
Yeah,
Keontae's hits
triple
the hip.
patted that ball. Yeah.
And I really think that kind of took some of the air out of the stadium. And so I think on the defensive side, I'm positive. I'm 100% positive BV didn't want to put our corners in a position where if we're in bump and somebody trips and a guy is free and they go 80, right? Just kind of the negative air it puts on the game. And so for all the people who were upset, and I genuinely was too, to me, I feel like if I'm a starter at OU and we're playing Kent State, I want to be able to get up in the guy's face. I kind of want to be challenged a few times. You know what I mean? Even if I'm at 3 or 4, maybe I'm not at bump, but I'm at 3 or 4 and I'm cockeyed. I'm in a cat technique, right? I have the ability to spring forward or spring back and do a power turn, spin out, and if they go over the top, something versus I'm at 10, eyes in the backfield, right? That's kind of like high school JV tactic. Don't get beat deep. To me, I would have preferred us to say, we're good enough to just guard Kent State. Hey guys, go get it. Safety, stay deep, read 2-1. We didn't do that. And it worked, right? They were literally unable to connect passes. I think the front was giving pressure on them, and then the backup quarterback was not very good. Dude has a My Little Pony ponytail. Like, bro, you're in the wrong sport. You need to be walking runways, dog, not on football fields. Um, but let me not hate. Let me stop, buddy. Buddy, look, I'm bald headed. Buddy had a clearly an ocean of hair. So that's a critique though, because I'm telling you, we're gonna play against LSU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. Who else is left on the schedule? I mean, Texas
Ole
has some decent.
Miss, Ole Miss,
Ole
man.
Miss, Ole Miss, Texas, right? I would say Mizzou's receivers are probably the least talented of the crew, but they've got some decent guys and they got a dual threat queue. But we're gonna play
Hmm.
against those teams, and they're gonna watch that Cam Coleman film, and they're gonna be like, oh, this is what we're doing, and it's gonna force us to play soft. We needed our corners to have a game where they could play hard and get their confidence back because Gilroy looked like a guy who lost a little bit of his, you know what I'm saying, his assertiveness, his confidence, and so that was something that on Twitter, we had Twitter going. I wasn't, it wasn't a big game, so Twitter was cool, it was fun, but a lot of people were saying, man, our corners, and I get it. He doesn't want to give up something cheap, something early, a mistake early, and it worked, right? So as a chess master, I think he made a solid decision. Excuse me. I just would prefer the affirmative. I would have preferred the direct. I would have preferred the assertive approach and saying, Kent State, we ain't giving you nothing. We're gonna line up bump or we're gonna line up at a cat, 3 or 4 yards, and we looking you up. It's a matchup zone. We in zone, but we covering up the quick slants, we covering up the quick hitch, and we can turn around with you because we're better athletes, we're better players. I would have been a little more excited about that, saying, "Ooh, they got confidence going into the SEC that they could ball with anybody." Him playing soft makes me feel like there's still a couple of reservations around the cornerback position. Your thoughts on that, and then I'll give you my safety points.
Yeah, yeah, I'm curious to hear what you thought about the safeties. I'm with you. Guillory, he got antsy, man. When that ball was in the air,
No
he
PI.
it's.
That was not PI.
I
Damn it, yo.
agree, but hold on. I agree that they both were fighting for the ball, balls in the air. They're both trying to make a play on the ball. However, that wasn't the only play where he just is not near. I think the two things that he was that were impacted was his physicality at the line of scrimmage. He just was a little less nasty, almost like he waited for the action to come to him so he wouldn't have that possible chance of a guy getting behind him. And then there were multiple plays where he didn't even need to really touch a guy. He could have just played him, shadowed him all the way. And he has plenty of speed. I saw in the comments, the
Yeah,
OUDB's lack of
yeah, yeah,
speed.
yeah.
That's the
Gentry
plenty
and
of speed.
Gullery don't have that issue. By the way, Jacoby
They can
Johnson
run.
also does not have. I don't know about
Yeah, you're
Eli. Did
talking
Eli really?
4-4.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Eli
All
had
those
some,
guys.
and BV even called it out. Eli had some, like one mental error, in zone coverage. BV actually called it out in the post game, which was kind of interesting. Um, I'm curious to see how they navigate between Eli, Guillory, Gentry going into the Texas week. Because the benefit that you get that I think Guillory brings you is you didn't see a lot of perimeter pass game from Kent State, and Guillory on the perimeter pass game, along with Gentry, are just much better tackling on the edge. They're much more physical out there, and he's not going to get big bodied by some of the guys that um, Texas is going to be thrown out. Um, Eli, definitely that there's a step there that he's got to get back. Dolby looked significantly better than even the week before against
Last
Temple.
week, yeah.
There were yeah, there were multiple plays, even the tackle in the backfield, which isn't a coverage scenario, but he is a lot more fluid. There's no hesitation. He is doing exactly what he is supposed to do. Gathers, creates the collision, does all the right things. But talk about safety. The only time that I said like there was an absolute mess up, I think Powers stumbles in man coverage on one of those plays, but he's got the makeup speed, gets him around the ankles, wraps up. But what else did you see?
First things first. People are talking about 4 5s versus 4 4. First versus 4 4s. Guys, let me just give you all a dose of reality. Guys who can run when they're getting ready to prep for the NFL, you can literally, if you're fast enough, and Barry, you can confirm this. Guys who run a 4.55 or faster can prep for the 40 and run a 4.4 on the clock. Like
100%.
the science of draft prep is a thing now. People know exactly where to go, the people who to work with, the diets to have, the stretches to do. Like 4.4 for a DB, I promise you guys, those three guys, Jacoby, Gullery, Gentry, are all going to run 4.4 in their pro days. I
All of them.
unless they're injured, I'm 100% confident those guys will all run a 4-4.
And
Eli, I
Gentry
don't.
might run low 4-4,
100%.
4-3.
100%.
100%.
By the way,
Yes.
Jacoby too. But I digress. Safety. Oh, first things first, I want to say, did Eli grow an inch or two? Did Eli look a little bit not as short
I
Saturday to you
didn't
guys?
catch
Like
that.
I was like, bruh, he looked 5'10". He didn't look like a last year, he looked little. Maybe he got a little
Yeah.
thicker, maybe he did get an inch. I don't know. He looked bigger to me. Um, the safety position. Okay, so there's a couple things I think that are really important. First things first, let's just talk about it. RSJ and Peyton are clearly doing their job. I remember my junior year, I had one interception and I was an all-state safety. I got all state as a safety my senior year and my junior year. My junior year, I only had one interception because I never made a mistake. I think my junior year, well, the game we lost in the semis before state, we got our asses kicked. But anyway, the point is those guys are doing a good job. And I think it's important for us to recognize a lot of times front like we have, and BV is not putting a ton of pressure all the time. It's really controlled pressure and strategic pressure is the way he does it. The safety's jobs are to cover up everybody else's mistakes to make sure 10-yard plays don't turn into touchdowns. So I've been hard on Peyton. By the way, I've gotten some messages from people saying, "How dare you talk about Peyton Bourne?" I said, "Man, I didn't say the guy sucks. I'm just saying he's closer to a Jag than he is a 5-star who pops off the screen at you." And Jag is relative, right? He's a Jag like 2-year starter Jag, you know what I'm saying? Versus like a Jag who's like, not getting any run. And by the way, I stick to my opinion. I don't care. Um, but he and RSJ are clearly doing a great job because they're covering up in cuts, skinny posts, a lot of, well, aside from that Cam Coleman play where Peyton Bowen gets beat, but they're doing a good job. So let's park that. Powers and Dobie. Second thing, Kendall Daniels. Man, if you noticed, he only played about a quarter. The quarter he
Yep.
played, he was ass kicking, and he looked really good. I heard he has an injury. He's been nursing it. He's been getting healthy. So I think they wanted to give him a chance to get out there. And he has one of those injuries where you just need time to heal. I haven't heard it said publicly, so I'm not gonna just kind of like pop it out there. But I heard he's got some bumps and bruises that he's been working through, and so I think they wanted to give him a chance to play. He played very well. He was extremely physical on a quick. They ran some type of outside cut or something, and he demolishes it. Looks good. We're going to need him against Texas. Dobie and Powers. Um, I am a huge fan of Powers as a cheetah. He looked lost as a safety. And you're right. You bring up the play where he leaves some air and then he kind of gets juked, but he comes back and makes the play. Good enough athlete. You could see in his face like he's like, oh crap, I'm playing. He was playing a true safety position. Um, and what they did is they let Kendall play cheetah. And Dobie was reminding people like I'm kind of him. You know what I'm saying? Like Dobie was kind
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
when he was playing Cheetah, I was like, like he's just more instinctual than both of them. Well, I hate to sound so in the moment, but in that game when he pulled the trigger, bro, like bat out of hell. When he came C gap, I know exactly what play you're talking about. They ran some type of delay in the backfield, and he's coming C gap at the hike of the ball, and he kills everything. There's another play where they're running some off tackle towards their side end, and or start off their side, excuse me. And you can just see Dobie fly in, perfect technique, outside shoulder free, head across, and he just cancels the play. Cheetah positions in good hands. Obviously, I think both of Kendall and Kendall Daniels, Kendall Dobies. I think Daniels goes to the NFL, and I think Dobie. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. Let me shut up. Anyway, point is, I'm not gonna say that. That wouldn't be fair. Point is,
Yeah.
Dobie came in and reminded everybody the value he brings to that position. And I would probably say, aside from the D line position, Cheetah is probably the most talented position on defense, just because there are three dudes legitimately who can play that position extremely well. And I think Dobie is going to steal reps from Powers. I do. I think Dobie is going to get more reps just because he pops off on on film at the cheetah position. But they're going to need Powers because RSJ is getting ready to graduate anyway, and so Powers is going to be a guy who's going to give them a lot of talent and depth at both positions. So I'll say this. I think Kendall is reminding people how good he is so that he doesn't have to consider transferring. And there is I mean, he's got to meet the 4 game threshold and then he can't. I think he's done. If he plays 4 games, he has to play it out. And I think conversations are being had or have been had that justify, dog, we need you. And because we need you, we're going to play you. And so, um, yeah, just conversations that I know that have happened. Let's just say I don't think we're going to exclusively see him at corner. And I think he would be better suited if he doesn't have to exclusively play corner. And of course, we saw that Saturday. He played a ton of cheetah.
Yeah, he is a better player, straight line, reacting, having everything in front of him in close area space. He's a great accelerator. He packs a good punch at the point of attack when he hits you. His technique, his tackling technique is very good. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't pitter pat around. He drives through guys, and that's why even at his size, he's able to still make plays. And put him at corner. He struggles to open his hips sometimes. His makeup speed when he's
Yep.
trailing a guy, it just isn't quite the same. He's much better
Yep.
when he does that little right arm. Like, so Tyreek Hill has this thing where he does this big, like to accelerate, this big massive circle with his offhand. It could be right or left, and it just kind of gets the ball moving. It gets the momentum going. And Dolby has this same thing that he does. Really good accelerators all have something like this that they do when they're trying to hit the gas. And he's just a good accelerator, man. He closes distance really well. Um, I was impressed, and then we'll turn over to the offense. If you don't got any more comments on the defensive side of the ball, Hardy's plays in the game. He didn't play a ton, but he did play quite a few snaps in the second half. And I was highly impressed with his eyes and his ability to get from here to here to here. And on the interception, if you watch, he's eyeballing receiver, eyeballing man. As soon as he whips that head around to find the quarterback, the ball's come. He finds the quarterback so fast. And I'll say, I don't know if I've seen that kind of eye movement and tracking. I've seen it a little bit from RSJ. I don't know if I've seen that from Peyton. That is a different thing that Hardy has, which I think is why we heard so much about Hardy in the offseason. There's just some other stuff there, I think, that's prevented him from playing. Size-wise, he's not a massive guy, and I know OU this year has wanted length out there, but I think Hardy has the potential down the stretch if he can tighten a few things up, just sort of off the field, practice, that kind of thing. I think he ends up seeing some snaps because that interception was big league. I mean, he cuts in front of that's like stuff Gentry has done, where he cuts in front, basically takes that route completely away, doesn't interfere. And it was just a really solid play. The D line sort of made it happen because they're rushing the throw and they're in the face of the quarterback, but it all works together. And either way, to me, it was the eyes on that play. It was just knowing where they needed to be and then how quickly he transitioned from receiver to ball was excellent. Any closing thoughts on the defense, D-Mac?
Um, my mama said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing. So, because I don't have anything nice to say about that Hardy interception, I'm not going to say nothing. By the way, phenomenal play. That play was a phenomenal play. And yes, I 100% agree with you. Instinctually, he, I think you got to give him credit for feeling the pressure. But he was robbing. So let's be very clear. They were in 3 high and or they were in a 2 high, or I don't know if they had this cheetah back. Because when they do that cheetah thing, it's like 3 safeties, one
Which
inside
they
the
did a
hash, and then two.
lot in this one.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a true two. I think it was too high. I actually think it was too high, and I think Dobie was closer to the box. But he was clearly robbing. He clearly did his job. The D line absolutely made the play first. The quarterback has time. He's not rushing it there, but he makes the play. But he's just not fundamentally sound. When it comes to
No.
him versus his counterparts, powers included, he can't. He has 2 tackles in the game, bro. He's just throwing shoulders. Like, hey man, you're the smallest safety we have. You're the smallest dude we have, and you throwing shoulders like you Sean Taylor, like you Roy Lee. And people, by the way, Kent State dude bounces right off of him and keeps running. Like, hey, bro, we saw this
Yeah.
against Temple. Temple Buddy did that, if you remember. So I just take offense or have issue or will highly critique a safety. You're a safety. By definition of your name, you can't be the guy who's unfundamental. You just can't, or non-fundamental, or not, whatever it is. I don't know the word. And I've just seen it too consistently. I was a huge fan when he was number 14. Huge fan his freshman year. Oh man, I was a fan. He's got to tackle better. So the safety, yes. I think he read the play exactly as it should have been read. He robs it well. He obviously makes the play. I think it's a cool play for him, but he throws shoulders too much, man. You're not Brandon Everidge. And Brandon Everidge, his last 2 years when he had bum shoulders, he couldn't rap anymore. So all he did was throw shoulders. That was literally the only
Oh
way
my
Book could
gosh.
tackle you. Rest in heaven, my bro. Um, anyway, let's move to offense. Good interception.
Yeah.
It irks my soul when I see
That's
safeties
what's
who's
kept
your
him off the field.
hundred
Like
percent,
that is what has kept him
hundred
from
percent.
playing.
100%. Oh, it irks my soul when I see safeties do that. Pisses me off. I should have played safety, bro. I shouldn't have been a receiver. I should have played defense. I promise you. Me and Roy Lee at safety, oh, it would have been trouble. It would have been
Oh,
trouble.
that would have been interesting.
We were both all state, bro. We were like, listen,
Yeah.
nobody scored on us. I'm telling you, like, it was
If you had gone,
impossible.
this is caveat. If you had gone to Bob and been like, Coach Stoops, I would like to throw my name in the hat at safety. What would that conversation have been like?
With all due respect, 2001 defense, Matt McCoy played safety. By the way, he got a lot of snaps, and I'm not hating on Matt. Matt's a baller. If you guys know who Matt McCoy is, he's an insurance guy. I think he and his dad built a huge State Farm insurance business in the Tulsa area, early 2000s, or his dad probably in the 90s too. But also, Antonio Perkins played safety, 2001 team.
Hmm.
If I said, Bob, I want to play safety, Bob would have said, get your ass out my office and play H, catch punt returns, and catch kick returns. That's what Bob would have said. You,
That's
Mackey, you
hilarious.
tripping. You better play slot, play H. I was starting at H, starting at a pin return, kick return. Bob wouldn't have been cool with that. But it was me who in 99, I mean, listen, I told the story in our pod before, bro. There was two scholarship receivers, Amir Kaba and Jarrell Jackson. That's it. There were two Scally receivers, and we had 99. We still had Rodney Rideau. We still had Mike Woods. We still had Pee Wee Woods. We still had Will
Mhm.
Barty. We still had Brent Jackson, excuse me. We have Roy Lee. We had Ante Jones. Like we had Ced Stevens. We had like, and I was a corner. I wasn't a safety back then. You know what I'm saying? There was
Yeah.
8 dudes, and then me, Kurt, and Wolf were freshman DBs. I'm like, man, I'm going on offense. That math ain't mathing. We got Mike Leach
Yeah.
who ran 4 wide, and there's two Scally receivers, and we had literally we had 8 juniors and seniors, and
Man.
Roy. Offense made too much sense.
There you go, man. Speaking of offense, let's move over to that side of the ball, man. Hawkins gets the start, and there were a lot of good things to like. It's Kent State. There's some highlight plays. He has some runs. He has some throws. The escape and the throw to Satania to get the ball rolling after the Keontez Lewis play where he runs into the brick wall, and it just is a total disaster of a play. And I said it on X immediately when it happened, and I had people, say that that's not true. Whatever. He held on to the ball too long. If for those who don't know or understand the concept of time and how important releasing the ball is when you're supposed to, every 10 yards or every second, about 1.2 to 1.3, that receiver's going 10 yards. So like a click of a hold, that receiver's out of the end zone, right? If you do not let it rip, that receiver has covered 10 yards worth of grass. You have to get the ball out. And then that receiver, from a performance standpoint, when your mind goes to ball, your instincts are telling you where you are on the field, but there is a moment where you are just ball focused. I'm making the play on the ball. And that's where you lose sight of where you're at. And it's very so you hope and you pray that your quarterback is going to keep you out of harm's way. But I want to start there, DMAC. Let's start with just Hawkins' overall performance and what you thought from the backup.
Yeah, steak and potatoes, right?
Steak and potatoes all day
Not
today.
good enough. Not good enough. And I think he'd say it. I think he'd say it in a heartbeat. I think he'd say, um, and by the way, I see the super chat. Hey, let me go ahead and post this so people can see it. Hold on.
Oh, there you
There we
go.
go. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I think there's a lot to like. I do. I'm gonna tell you my concerns here shortly. When his feet are set, and after the first quarter, I feel like he had proper zip on the ball for the most part. Again, I'm going to caveat that with when his feet were set. Okay, we're going to talk about his feet because it's probably half the time his feet are wrong. Um, Park that. The play to Keontae, it's absolutely unfortunate. Hawkins lets the ball go too late because he's open the entire time. He could have led him to the other side. He could have literally led him on like a deep drag or like a deep dig and just threw it to the other pylon instead of throwing it through the end zone. And even if he was late, he could have kind of, thrown it like an over route, like how you would throw a corner out, right, from the opposite side of the field. But whatever, right? Young kid. I do want to. I played X. I played X for a full season. I ran, so that's why I always say, like, I literally played the position as an undersized X, and but again, our starting X was Jerome Jackson, who was 5'9". JJ was our X that year, by the way, and it's a slant, curl, fade position. Like 50% of your routes is running that backside slant, curl, fade, or the backside dig across the formation, right? I've run borderline in the red zone post routes. I have. By the way, let me see. I think it's if you guys go back and watch 99, I think it's Missouri. In fact, I score on a slant that game. But earlier in the game, I run a post at about the 25-yard line. I don't know where that play started at, but I
I
by
think
the
it
way,
starts at
I'm
30.
okay.
I think
So
it's
I'm
at the 30.
we're between the 30 and the 20, and I'm running a backside post at the X position. Um, BD, Brandon Daniels, is running a post from the H position on the opposite side of the formation. My point is, when you start running into the end zone, you feel it. When you start getting towards the back of the end zone, you feel it. When you start running through the end zone, you feel it. I don't want to sound insensitive, but I do want to be honest. I think Keontae knew he couldn't catch it for a touchdown. I think he still just wanted to catch the ball because I think
Yeah.
Hawk threw a ball that was catchable. He just threw it through the end zone 7 yards too deep. And so I say that to say in the most sensitive way that I can. Guys, I promise you, my football career ended the way you guys saw him leave the field is how mine ended. It just happened to be in practice. I was on a cart, strapped down, helmet on, face mask off. I did the thumb up thing because, oh no, I didn't. I didn't even do the thumb up. I woke up in the ambulance. I woke up in the ambulance. And I just know how scary that is. I woke up partially paralyzed, guys. I was partially paralyzed. I had to stay in the hospital for an entire week to learn how to walk again. I wasn't paralyzed because of any spinal damage. I was paralyzed because my brainstem was bruised and the signal to tell my brain what to do was delayed. That's what my injury ended up being. Okay. Um, so much empathy for him. For like not even BSing. Like I'm watching the play and I'm like, God dang. I'm watching the interaction with him in the back of the end zone. I'm watching the cart come up and then the whole thing. And like I said, it took air out of the stadium. But I also know, Barry, and again, I just gotta be honest, you feel the 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 demographics of the field. I know when I'm at about the 50. I know when I'm at about the 20. I know when I'm getting to the close to the goal line. I know when I'm going through the goal line, and I know there's about 8 yards after the goal line. I know if I'm running with cheerleaders, I probably can stop worrying about trying to catch the ball and kind of make sure I'm good. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. When I see the play, to me, my own opinion on it, and I think I have permission to have my opinion on a play such as I think he just wants to catch the ball anyway because he's kind of jacked up too, and he kind of wants to have his QB's back. The ball is late. It's 2 ticks late. You're 100% correct. A tick is 10 yards. When you're running full speed, a tick is 10 yards. 4 6 or faster, a tick is 10 yards. And so, I just feel bad because I think Hawk is jacked up. And I think Keontae wants to, have his QB's back. And it just so happens that, I mean, that play is devastating. The way he hit the wall, the whole nine. and I apologize, guys, for speaking to it in such a long fashion. Um, I do think that impacted everybody. Back to Hawk. Late in the first quarter, high in the first quarter, mechanics crumble after halftime. If you watch the first quarter of the game, he's high and his mechanics aren't terrible. By the way, I saw a bunch of people saying, if we're playing anybody else, his touchdown to Satania in the first quarter is a pick. No, it's not. Satania got behind the defense. It's a great play by Hawkins. That's a great play. The DB's 10 yards behind Satania. Satania runs an ugly corner out. The corner is peeking on the outside receiver who runs some type of like 10 yard. That's a great play design, right? And it's a great job by the quarterback to see it and know he has time to throw it up there. That's absolutely a plus, a triple plus. Hawkins gets a triple plus for that. Beating the defensive line, throwing a touchdown is a plus, and making something happen when he was under duress. I have no issues with that throw, the style of throw, any of that. Great play by him. However, they run the skinny post to, oh no, it's just it's a slant, it's a bang eight slant. They run the slant to carry on. High. How are
Yeah.
you high on 6'4" and a half, 6'5" dude? Wide open. There isn't a backer to throw it over. He's jacked. Right. They run some half rollout concepts to Burks. Burks is, by the way, did everybody see Burks is pissed? Let me tell you why Burks is pissed. Because they don't have chemistry. I guarantee you in practice they didn't have chemistry. I guarantee you, because you can just see Burks' frustration of like, these are balls I'm supposed to get. This is my money, bro. And you can see that he and Hawkins just don't have the chemistry yet.
Yeah.
And Burks is upset. I feel him because I want to, hey, dog, this ball, when they call this play, it's a 90% chance I'm getting the ball. Damn it. Give me the ball. Right. And so I think that was funny. I kind of laughed at it. But at the end of the day, he cleans it up in the second quarter. I think Arbuckle did him some favors and throwing a lot of. They ran some screens, which I hadn't seen them do in a while. They ran some running backs into the flat with blockers in front, which is kind of a screen too, right? Which I think was really good to get him easy throws. And then you can see once he connected on a few of those, he started connecting on second level throws. They ran the RPO for the touchdown. They ran Satania on some again junk slant routes. It's essentially run a slant to the spot, stop where they're not. He's going to put the ball on you. They tried to run it to carry on again. Carry on leaves the zone. By the way, it's another Hawkins throws a perfect pass. I guarantee you in film, carry on's getting cussed out. Or carry on's, I guarantee you, Jones is saying, oh, you don't want to catch the ball because Hawkins throws it to the window in zone. Your job as a receiver is to get to the window. And you can see carry on gets and then he shuffles. Like, no, bro, get to the window, get big. The ball's coming to the area because you see the area. Quarterback sees the area. People, and by the way, Hawkins throws a fastball. It's a 17-yard throw. It should be a fastball. That shouldn't be a nerf. That's a fastball. Harry on needs to be there, catch the damn ball. But Barry, we going for half. We going for halftime, and his mechanics crumble.
Yeah.
It's bad. It wasn't good, guys. And again, I'm not trying to like crap talk him. Number one, contextually, he's our backup. Number two, he showed signs of things that he could do well, but you have to call a spade a spade. He just lost all confidence, and I mean he couldn't play catch. There was the third quarter. Sooner fans were upset because we scored 44. It was very clear to me Arbuckle had two objections in the third quarter. Number one, get Ott, give him his opportunity for us to see what he could do. Very clear to me that they wanted to do that. Number
For
two,
sure.
he very clearly wanted to see if Hawkins could handle a bigger portion of the playbook in case we need him next Saturday. They wanted to get that on film. It was very clear. Guys, we could have scored 14 more points just running the ball. I see the comments talking about the O-line, and we're going to talk about the O-line. A couple of guys got their tails whooped a few times, but if to act like the offensive line didn't generate running lanes in that game is also to be ignorant or a hater because they did, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But it seemed to me it was more important to Arbuckle to give Mateer to give Hawkins the opportunity to be the point guard. those plays that Dylan Gabriel could do in his sleep, half roll, you've got a high low, you're running a smashing flag, and whatever you throw it where the DB isn't, right? You run an under and an over, you read it with you throw it where the backer isn't. Like those are concepts that are universal in everybody's playbook. And it was very clear that Hawkins had them, and he gave them in drop back. He gave them in action. Action just means you show the ball on some type of run action. It could be play action, it could be jet action, it could be whatever, right? It's just some type of action. And he did it in rollout. And in all three scenarios, his technique crumbled. And so that to me is a mental issue. Here's my red flag, Barry. 2 years into the program, an off season into the program, a spring, summer, fall camp, and a bye and a Kent State game week, that should not be as a parent of an issue. Hawkins has to own that. He has to own that.
Yeah.
We can't make excuses. If Mateer busts his thumb up this Wednesday in practice or this Monday in practice, and Hawkins only has Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to prep, I'll be like, y'all tripping. Kid's gonna ascend. But he busted up 2 weeks ago. We have the bye week and a Kent State game week. His mechanics can't crumble that bad. The third quarter was bad. And I think we forfeit 14 points trying to get him comfortable. And he just didn't in time for, us to accrue the points that we should have gotten. If he plays catch, we score 14 more points. Those receivers might break a tackle on any of those and score on any one of those plays. And it's not even close. So something that to me, it's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer. Listen, OU Texas is a big deal to me. I want Mateer. That's my short
Yeah.
answer. I want Mateer.
Yeah, there were multiple
Yeah.
plays. I
So
saw the comments about the O line, and we'll dive into that. But there's multiple plays where Hawkins, all he has to do is step up or feel the pressure, and he avoids the sack. And that's just not having the same instincts that if that were Mateer back there, that's not a sack. There's been multiple plays this year where the offensive line didn't pass pro perfectly, but Mateer makes something out of it because you're just going to have those plays, especially when you play good teams. And I will say, Kent State did not have a bunch of talent, but there was I want to say it was 6 on the defensive line was pretty good. Like he's going to portal. I don't know if he has eligibility left, but he'll
Simmons made him
probably
look real good.
yeah, so he probably portal somewhere. But but Hawkins just had multiple plays where he's in the air throwing the ball. He's throwing jump passes. Can't do that. The sidearm thing was interesting.
Is that
And it
new, bro?
almost
Is that new? Did
it's
he do
not
that last year?
new. He did it last year, but I think what happened was, and this is just when you are my basketball analogy would be if let's say you're a pretty good player and you're a solid 3-point shooter and you're going into like pickup game or you're playing ball and you hit a couple threes and then now you're just going to blast threes for the rest of the game. He had a few of those sidearm throws look good and they got home and then he kept doing it. And I don't know if it was him just being a little overzealous, trying to be Mr. Cool out there, or if it is a situation of just like you're talking about, where the mechanics just crumble, he reverts to the mean, which is generally what happens. My biggest issue, even more than the sidearm, was the footwork, not having a strong base. Even on the play where he throws it to Keontae, his base was where Keontae gets hurt. His base was that last step of his drop back should have ripped the ball right there. That there shouldn't have been a double tap and sitting and waiting. And there were multiple plays like that where, as you said, all he needed to do was throw it to the guy. He doesn't anticipate really well either. One of the things with Mateer is that he's good at throwing it to the spot and just trusting that the
Yep.
receiver is going to get there. And Hawkins just does not do that. He doesn't trust it, which then he feels like he's got to rip the ball in there in order to create the completion. So if you're not going to anticipate, then your velocity has to be greater. There's no but one or the other has to happen. If you anticipate, you can get away with, and the ball has a little more touch on it. It can be more catchable. But if you're waiting that extra click, now the ball has to have more speed. It has to be a fastball. His placement too on some of the throws, you can just tell. Mateer puts it out in front of guys. There was a little less run after the catch in this game. Guys caught the ball and sat, or caught the ball, took the hit. The play to Giovanni, that catch didn't need to
Oh,
be so tough. It was a great play. And we'll talk about receivers. It was good to see him out there, but that play did not need to be that hard. Giovanni should have been able to catch the ball, nice athletic stance, turn and go. But that wasn't the case. So moving on from Hawkins, D-Mac,
hmm.
and go into receiver. Well, we'll finish with O-line and running backs. That's kind of how we
Okay.
tend to do it on the show. Uh, Receiver, Burks did not get a whole lot of burn in this one. This was not a Burks game. Just as you said, I think the chemistry's not there. Him and Mateer probably worked all off season, and they've got
100%.
that flow. They've got that groove. And
100%.
and Carrion is Hawkins' guy. So it is interesting that Carrion gets a lot, that those two, they're that's how that relationship goes. But talk about what you saw out of, yeah, five. It's the Satane had a big game, a lot of good
Yep.
catches, had the one
Yep.
drop in the end zone, but
Yep.
that ball again, you know,
That's a good
man, you
throw,
got
bro.
to catch that one. Yeah, yeah, I
You could
agree. You
tell
got to
that
catch that
you
one.
could tell he catches the ball more naturally diamond up on the right hand side than he does on the left
Uh-huh.
hand side. I'm the opposite. I'm left handed,
Interesting.
so I catch better diamonds down on the left hand side. On the right hand side, I got to be diamond up. You could see he tried to catch a diamond up. He should have caught a diamond down. But anyway,
Wow, that's interesting. Talk about it.
yeah.
Receivers.
Yeah, Kent State's a game where you're like when the schedule comes out, you're like, okay, I guarantee you Burks is like, oh, I'm gonna go for 150, I'm gonna have 9 catches, I'm gonna get 3 screens, I'm catching the skinny post, I'm gonna probably get the cash play. I know Burks is thinking he about to have a great week, and then right, you get the cue. And you brought up something I think is really important. 2000, we have hype. 2001 season, it's a quarterback competition. All summer, I'm with J Dub. And Nate Hibble is my guy. We don't talk that much. That's not true. We don't talk anymore. But like we've stayed in touch for years. Really, really, really good guy. But as a receiver, me and J Dub were like this, just like me and Hype. Like J Dub's like D Mac. If in other words, if we're doing 707, we're in the huddle, and he's like, "Yo, bro, if they bring such and such D Mac, I'm coming to you." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just have that feel. I guarantee you, Mateer and Burks had that feel. Like you said, Hawkins clearly feels a little more comfortable. Carry on. Hawkins, or excuse me, Burks has more chemistry with Mateer, and then Hawks has more chemistry with Carry On. Burks is the person who, he has to get the short end of the stick because so we run a Z and H heavy offense. And let me just give you guys some of the bones of Arbuckle's offense. Arbuckle's offense is designed to create matchups for Z or H depending on where they put the backer type or the backer safety type or the bigger DB type. If teams stay in base, we're going to use the Z because the tight end is going to have a safety, and we're going to run rub routes and high lows with the Z and the Y. If Z and H are on the same side, we're going to see who has the closer to a backer type, backer safety type, and then who's going to have closer to the true DB type, right? And Arbuckle wants Mateer, or in this case Hawkins, to read that pre-snap and say that's the matchup we're probably going to have more room because our receiver can out athlete that person, right? So as you watch the game, you're able to kind of contextually assume those things. And against Kent State, you would think Burks should be able to win. And by the way, there's plenty of plays he's wide open. There's plenty of plays he's won. In terms of wide open, I mean, he's beat the technique and he's inside shade or he's outside shade. If you put the ball in front of him or if you throw the ball down the field, he can run and go get it. Right. That's wide open when you're playing against a DB. And Hawkins either doesn't read it, isn't comfortable with it, or he's obviously inaccurate with it. And so, yeah, that's a very oh, let's go. My fancy running back scores. That's a that's a very unfortunate thing for Burks. I don't think we learned anything about the receivers in this game. I wanted to see more of Gibson. I was going to bring this up with the coaches, but I'll say it now. I was a little disappointed that Arbuckle didn't just take a couple shots. Hey,
Mhm.
Giovanni, you're back. Hey, Hawkins, they do this every day in practice. They should have just called Ace Open, Pat and Go. Ace Open, Pat and Go. Pat and Go, inside receivers, get inside on your DB or your nickel, whoever it is, and look for the ball in your face. So tie it in an H, right? Outside receivers, beat his technique, stack them, and the ball's coming. The same play we ran against Michigan, the same play we ran against Auburn with Burks, Mateer and Burks. They run this play plenty of times against better competition. I wish Arbuckle would have given, by the way, the same play that Hawkins runs with, what's the kid that transferred in and like the tall guy played receiver for us last year? They run the play against Auburn. Big play. They throw the fade. We don't score, but we get 40, 50-yard play out of it. It's a bomb. Forgot who it is. So you guys go back and watch the play. Whoever our receiver was, I want to say it's the kid from Arizona State who transferred it.
Oh yeah, what was it? Number 13? Did he wear 13?
Did he wear my number? He probably did. Whatever.
Did he wear
Point is,
13? I can't
doesn't
remember
matter.
who. I
Doesn't
know who
matter.
you're talking about though. JJ Hester.
I think
Yeah.
it's Hester, right? If in the Auburn
Yeah.
game, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they run it, and Hester
Yeah.
beats this guy, and we get like a 40-yard gain out of it. Last season, I wanted to see if in rhythm he could just make rhythm throws, and I saw that Arbuckle gave him some rhythm throws in the flats. Um, the play to
Mhm.
Canic. They run the screen. I think they run a couple to Burks. Burks runs a couple of hitches, and it ain't there, but he's throwing it. And Burks is pissed. You can see Burks is like, damn it, I'm not the read. Don't throw me the ball. By the way, Giovanni Gibson's, he's not the read. Giovanni Gibson is not open. That play is designed. If that corner hugs up, you're looking for the high low behind it. It's either an in cut or an out cut. You're supposed to throw the cut if the corner is squatting. You're not supposed to throw it anyway. And I'm laughing. I'm like, but back up. Hey man, have his back. Receiver position, I wanted to see more of Giovanni. I haven't seen what everybody says he has. His body, in terms of just his measurables, looks good. I feel bad for Keontae. I think Satania is a guy who, that's a game. Satania is going to ball out, right? He's clearly a better athlete than the guy he's going against, and he's a tough guy. So I wasn't surprised that he was able to manufacture plays for himself and score some TDs. Um, in a vacuum, I like our receiver core. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Until they prove otherwise, we're a middle of the road receiver group in the SEC this year. It's crazy because last year I said I think we're the best SEC receiver group in America when all those guys were healthy that we had last year. Right now, I really do. I've seen. Listen, A&M's got two dudes. LSU's got two dudes. Bama has
Even
two dudes.
Florida. Dude,
Did
Florida
you
has a
see
couple dudes
Florida's
too.
freshmen, bro? Those are
Yeah.
freshmen. Number 6 is a
Dallas,
freshman.
what's his last name? Oh man. Crazy.
Ole Miss.
Ole
Tennessee,
Miss.
like we're a
Mhm.
middle of the road SEC group. And I just, it's optics or it's confidence, whatever you want to call it. I just wish Arbuckle would be like, yo, man, I want people to see on film that y'all are dudes. We're going to take a couple of shots. Just go beat your guy, run right by him and score. Bump your head on the scoreboard. There are plays where Coach Spurrier would be like, D-Mac, can you beat him? Coach, I can beat him. Okay, we're going to throw the fade. Like Leach, Mackey, come here. And it wasn't me. I mean, I'm being honest with you guys. They asked me, but it's mainly a Savo call. It's a Curtis Fagan call. It's an Andre Wolfo call. Those are 4-3 guys. By the way, Dre ran 4-4, like 1. Savo ran 4-4-5. This is pro day. Granted, it wasn't electric back then, but these guys are legit rolling, right? Slot, not so much. But like there were plays during the game. Coach would be like, hey, Mackey, can you beat your guy? Coach, I can beat him. All right, we're just gonna run Mackey fade. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like there were times where they could have run Giovanni fade, Gibson fade. And we're gonna give our dude, if we get the look if we get the look we like, we're running the fade. If we don't get the look we like, check to this run or check to this quick game stuff, whatever. We needed to do that a couple times. We need to see Hawkins throw the ball, and we need to see our receivers go up and make a play. And so, from that perspective, I can't blame the receivers because it doesn't look like they ever just called it and he held it. I think that's more of a coaching thing that I critique that I wish Arbuckle would have done. But I don't think we learned a lot about our receivers. Burks is a good player. He's a dude who should make it to the NFL, and he didn't have chemistry with the backup. Satania is a junk route position, the H position. That's what I played my sophomore year, right? So that's a position where you need to be smart, you need to be tough, be where the defense is, and read post snap where guys are going into zones and find windows. So I thought Satania did a good job of what he was expected to do. I'll even speak about Kennick. Terrible blocking. Oh, he pissed. I know.
Oh,
By the way, did you
the
see Burks cussing his tail out on that jet sweep,
On the reverse
saying
or the jet sweep,
it was a
yes,
jet sweep
100%.
out of the gun. He's cussing him out like, man, you did. If you if you watch Kanik, and I'm just like, Lord help him. Where's his coaching? Hey, Joe John, get him coached up. We're week 5, bro. Like, get him coached up. I can tell you exactly what Kanik could have done to block it perfect. You ready?
Go.
Well, okay, watch. Let me. Here you go. I'm gonna be a teacher. You ready? I'm gonna put my teacher hat back on because I used to be a teacher for a long time. Okay, so Barry, if we're gonna run a jet sweep, where most likely is the play gonna go? Is it gonna go around the edge or is it gonna cut up into the alley? Most likely.
It's gonna go around the edge.
It's going to go around the edge. It's designed to go around the edge, right? So if you
Yes.
are, we're going to call it a nub or a sniffer, whatever you want to call it. If you're a nub tight end, should you hug the tackle right next to him or create space between yourself and the tackle because you know whoever the contained defender is going to have to create an angle in order to make a play? Which one should you do?
You would do number 2, D-Mac.
Ye- so if you watch pre-snap, guys, just go watch the play again. This is just football 101. If you watch the play pre-snap, all Kanik has to do, and the play is probably out the gate, is line up a yard farther outside than he is, inviting the contained defender to try to go underneath him. See, if he lines up a yard farther outside, the contained defender knows he has no chance to get around him. Therefore, his only option is to try to cut between them. And now all Kanik has to do is just put an arm on him. If he flattens
Yeah.
him out one arm, the play's out the gate. But Kanik's not a guy who's comfortable in offense yet. And because he's not comfortable, he's like, I'm supposed to line up toe to toe. My inside toe is on the outside toe of the tackle. All he has to do is bump 1 yard. If he bumps 1 yard pre-snap, that ends like, damn, how am I going to do this? Because he's going to keep contained. Is he going to
Mm,
flatten out, which gives Kanik an easy route to just pin him, right? He could probably manhandle Kanik, but he's not going to break right through and get to the play. Or can Kanik stay, the technique which you're supposed to do when any other play? See, because Kanik stays toe to toe, meaning his inside toe on the tackle's outside toe, and he's kind of just a nub off the edge, what happens? The DN takes a step like he's trying to beat him. Kanik takes a step and he crosses his face. Right, right,
yeah.
boom, perfect.
Good.
And again, as first of all, to me, that's something coaching. Coach should say, hey, bro, pre-snap when we're running this, widen your stance or widen your depth. He should be
Mm,
a yard away. They should be inviting that contained defender to say, shit, if I gotta keep contained, I either gotta flatten all the way out there, which the play's out the gate, or I gotta try to knife in. And then if you invite him inside, you can just push him. You can just flatten him out enough he can't get into the play. He doesn't. I mean, Burks is cussing him out live. And what that you can see him like, bro, like he's mad at him. It's hilarious. I thought it was funny. Also, I noticed that it was a run versus a pass. Did you notice that? With Hawkins, they didn't throw it in the
oh,
air so that
interesting.
it could be passing yards. It was a handoff, and I think they were just trying to be safe to make sure Hawkins doesn't, there isn't some type of snafu, mess up, whatever. But receivers, I give him an 80. Nothing special. I'm not going to give Satania super props for balling against Kent State. I thought it was funny that Burks didn't have chemistry. I wish we could have saw more Giovanni besides Hawkins. Hawkins, I guarantee you, there's an in cut or a corner route behind that because he just runs a 5 yard sit route. I'm sure there was somebody behind that he should have read and he should have went the other way with it. But the receivers were solid. Um, freaking what is it? Yeah, Kearney has a drop on a
Kearney.
decent
Yeah.
throw by Hawkins. They run a half roll and they're running the high low into the boundary onto our sideline, and the corner hugs up on the running back trying to leak. The corner hugs up on it. Hawkins throws a good pass. Somebody said it was low. Bullshit. If it's at my knees and I'm running like at my knee level, catch the damn ball to drop. And so I think that was interesting that Kearney is a guy who we think can step up and be a one type guy. He's got to make those plays.
Yeah, there is a gap, a definitive gap between your Burks, Satania, um, even Keontez Lewis, and then everyone else, right? And losing Keontez, just the physicality he has when blocking. Burks also a solid blocker. Like it impacts everything. Carion is getting better. I do like how he moves, and I think he can be a real weapon for the team down the stretch. What'd you think of? Well, let me say this first. I think it was Canick's worst blocking game of the year thus far,
Or game one, the
or
first game and
game
the last
one.
game. The
Game
first
one
game of the
was real
season, East
rough
State, he
too.
was not good.
Man, and he does, especially
Yep,
when he gets into the open field, he does the same thing he did at backer, where he doesn't leave himself any wiggle room with his hips. He commits so hard one way or the other. So all the
100%,
defender has to do is turn the other way. It's why he would get cooked at backer. You're not giving yourself like
100%.
some cushion with like I could go left or I can go right. He commits way too hard, and good blockers don't do that. That it's timing, that they understand angles. Like it's all an angles game. And I saw the comment
Yep.
about just the speed. Why can't Burks? I'll say this: at this level of college football, especially with training nowadays, everybody is fast. But he also just had a great angle on Burks. You can't beat a good angle when it's a slow developing play. You have to have time, and if you're just met at the point where you're trying to get outside, you have nowhere to go. It doesn't matter how fast you are, that you're not going to be able to beat that play. What do you think about Caden Helms? Caught the touchdown. Looked like he's moving pretty smooth. Good touchdown. He was wide open. They just totally blew, but following him into the end zone there. Well, what do you think of his play?
Play well. I love the play. I love his little sauce he added at the end. I think it was kind of front runner. It's like, bro, you barely came back. He's excited. Whatever. Let the kids play. Let the kids be excited. Um, Tight end position is one where SEC teams are going to scheme to watch Kanik in the pass game, and they're going to put him in comp. If we have him in, we want to run the ball. They're going to have a dude on him that can cross his face and disrupt the offense. So Kanik's, unless Kanik plays like a little Y that is pass heavy only going into SEC, he's going to have to improve his blocking, or he is going to kill us in the run game. Going to kill us.
Mm-hmm.
So Helms is, we'll see. I wanted to see more of him. I noticed they played the other kid 286, or yeah, I think his number's 86.
Carson can't. Yep.
Can't. That's his name. Yeah. I don't have a lot to say about the tight ends except that Kanik is a guy who, with the ball in his hands and running downfield, is a pretty decent weapon. Somebody asked me how I blocked. Hey, bro, let me listen to me. Chicken 15-15, my man. All you gotta do is Google that stuff. Go YouTube. How did I block? I used to sit people on the bench. I sat dude from Baylor on their bench and got flagged for unnecessary. Go watch him. BD catches a bubble screen and takes it to the house. And I sat Buddy on their bench. I used to dig out backers. How did I block? Are you kidding me? I used to go out there and handle my business. Like that was serious business for us. We had to block or you couldn't play. We weren't no tiddlywinks. How did I block? How do you block? Show me your stuff. You can go find mine. My stuff is on YouTube all day and twice on Sunday. You can watch all our games. You could be like, you could see a couple drops, but I was getting to work. Don't do that. How did I block? I saw what you said about Roy Lee. I'm not getting Roy Lee pads. You better ask Roy Lee what used to happen in practice. Ask him. He might get on later on. Ask Roy what used to happen in practice. He got me, but I damn sure used to get his ass too. That's cute. I like it. I like the sauce. I like it. Chuck, we coming to the O line. We're gonna talk about the run game here in a minute, Chuck. I ain't lost you
We're
and the
coming with
super
it.
chat. We coming to the O line at
Facts,
the end.
facts. Yeah,
How
and
did
I'll
I
say that. I
block?
mean, they used to. I remember watching that 2000 team, and then even '01. They were doing segments on the receiver blocking that you guys
Buddy,
were doing,
we
because you guys
blocked,
were
bro.
one of the best. Yeah, that was like a known
My man said
thing
there's
for
no. Hey,
those
bro, hold on.
those
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
teams.
whoa. Time out, time out, time out. Listen, y'all trying to troll. Relax. There's a 16-minute highlight reel of me. All you gotta do is put Damian Mackey highlights. Bro, come on, dog. What are you talking about? I'll tell you what.
Let's
Give
go.
me your. Barry post. Oh no, he posted the deal. And you found that other thing. There's no highlights of me. You're wilding. You're cute. That's some cute, y'all. Okay, y'all real cute. I love it. I
That's
love it. I
hilarious.
love it. Go ahead though.
So let's
Let's
do
see. Let's hear.
this. Let's do this offensive line thing, man. Blaylock and Ott got the carries in this one. Blaylock got off to a really good start, and then he has some runs down the stretch that also looked really good. Ott, you finally got to see some of the things
Mm-hmm.
that fans wanted to see. Had a nasty stiff arm. Had the play where they blew it dead. I think they probably blew it dead at the right time. That's just personal opinion. Most of the time, you're going to blow that play dead at that point. But
Mm-hmm.
I saw the gripe. but he had fantastic vision. He runs with his head up. He is very. It's the first time we got to see him get out in space and be able to set some things up for himself. In these other games, it always felt like he was trying to fight out of a phone booth. And in this one, he actually had a little bit of space, some room to move. We'll see what things look like when it tightens up. But first, just initial impressions, DMAC, of the offensive line and what fans seem to be griping about. What what are your thoughts about how they played? And then after that, I might go into some of the individual things that I saw, some of the highlights of guys who did do well, and then some of the guys who really struggled. But just give me your view of them as a unit, and what you thought.
Unit or individually?
Let's go unit first, and then we'll break down some of the individual performances.
Listen, y'all know, y'all know me. I ain't worried about nobody else's opinion. I'm gonna tell you what I saw. You want to know what I mean, context. We're playing Kent State, so I want to
Yeah.
make sure I put that out there initially to say before I say what I'm going to say, because they sat their starting quarterback so as not to get him injured for their conference schedule. As a unit, running the ball. Okay, so here we go. Let's do passing first.
Hmm.
Whole hum game passing. I think guys thought that Kent State was going to be um, Little Sisters of the Poor, blind university for the, you know what I'm saying, the farmers and the milk, the dairy farms, and they had a couple guys. They had a couple undersized athletic DNs, and they had a couple of stunt. They, by the way, they ran a really interesting stunt. Everybody jumps a gap in, and then a guy loops around. It got them a sack in the first quarter. They ran it again later, and we picked it up. But an interesting thing, I don't think I'd ever seen it. And the guy was like, "Oh, you runs that stunt." No, we don't. I have never seen us. It wasn't a slant. Everybody at the hike of the ball went a gap over, and then a guy comes in. Cool little joint. They got us a sack the first quarter or first half. As a unit, running the ball, best game of the season. That was their best game of this. Like, what are we talking about? They covered guys up, and running backs were in the second level, probably half of the carries. Half of the carries that Arbuckle designed, our running backs are at the second level. Like, go watch the game.
Hmm.
Go watch the game. I think the thing that is very clear for us to see is there's two or three plays where Ozita gets cross-faced right at the snap of the ball. You could, it's just, I don't know if he's being lazy or I don't know. He's not that bad an athlete. So it's not like he's a bum and he can't get there. He just got beat first half. And then obviously Simmons 66 is getting worked by a undersized athletic DN who's beating him off speed, who's beating crossing his face inside on some pass blocking stuff. But guys, that's pass stuff. In the run game, you can't on film show me as a unit a better game of those guys covering guys up and letting the running backs get to the second level. It's the best game of the season, I think, pretty comfortably with that unit, knowing who assignment wise to get. There's probably 5 or 6 plays if our so there's a play, Blaylock. I like Blaylock. And I'm gonna get to Ott here in a second. There's a play where he's seeking contact versus running to daylight. And I'm not talking about like Barnes running into your own guy. I'm not right because Barnes has a unique ability to find one of our asses and run into it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking Blaylock has another ability where he gets to the second level, and I think he just makes eye contact with somebody, and he's like, "I'm a tougher dude than you, and I'm gonna run you over." I honestly think that's probably what he thinks because there's a play where he walks into the goal line if he simply hits the hole and cuts outside. I mean, he gets to walk in, he gets to look cute, da, 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 he gets a touchdown, but he's looking for contact. And I think it's a couple of plays before Helms' touchdown, I believe. I don't remember exactly, but I noticed that. But back to the O line, because I know that's what you asked me. They covered guys up. It tells me that they felt pretty confident about what they needed to do. You also go back and watch the safeties for Kent State because we don't do a bunch of shots are up. I don't know if they're robbing, but they're closer to the line of scrimmage. They are. They're playing at about 11, and one of them shooting into the C gap at the snap of the ball pretty often. They could tell when we were trying to run the ball and they had an extra man. I think you brought it up earlier, right? There are a couple plays where everybody's blocked. The safety makes a play against Blaylock. He's trying to get to the outside. The safety bananas inside out makes the play. So um, I feel as though heading into Texas, especially if we have Mateer, that the offensive line showed me in the run game, assignment wise, covering guys up, giving the running back opportunities to be running backs. I don't think there's a better game this season. Who's the other crappy team we play? Temple, I guess Temple, we had some bigger runs. Obviously, Mateer takes one like 60 or something like that. But Blaylock has a couple of runs around the edge that he kind of beats contain. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So but I'm just mean
Yeah.
like into the hole, in center guard
Yes.
gap, guard tackle gap. There are lanes for the running back guys. We can't act like there weren't. And I honestly believe that if Arbuckle wasn't trying to see if Hawkins could handle more of the playbook and they had just run the ball, they probably run the ball for 80 more yards if they wanted to. I think Arbuckle wanted to put some plays on Hawk's shoulders to see if Hawk could play catch, and he messed those plays up. So, offensive line, I think I gave him like a 74. I think they got a 74 because the passing blocking was concerning. Somebody brought up Simmons. Simmons versus Simmons on Saturday could be an issue if Derek Simmons
Rough.
doesn't get ready for the kid from Texas. Um, but yeah, everybody's like the whole line's trash, and like guys, don't exercise muscle memory or old habits. They aren't as bad as they were last year. That's number one. Um, and in terms of running the football, somebody give me evidence that they didn't do a better job. Like part of running backs yard per carry is running backs yards after contact. You know what I'm saying? The play is not designed to block everybody. The play is designed to block five or six. Did you got five linemen, right? So five linemen, the running back is not going to be blocking anybody. Sometimes receivers are trying to run people off and they can't dig out safeties. And the way they were playing, it's not like they were playing an all or nothing defense where a running back could go 80. There were plenty of plays where they had three levels of defenders, eyes in the backfield. Not making excuses. I think I do put some of that on running backs not running through trash. If you guys don't think Tyree, did anybody see the Cincinnati game? Tyree runs over people and breaks out for 30, 40-yard runs. Like there's a guy right there who can tackle him and boom, he runs him over two times and turns a 6-yard gain into a 30-yard gain. Our running backs have to do some of that. They have to do so. You can't blame the old line because the running back gets tackled by the first or second guy. So yeah, with respect to running the football, I think they played better than they have. Again, context, it's Kent State. I don't expect us to be that successful against Texas. We'll see. I don't know. In terms of pass blocking, we had some guys just get beat right at the snap of the ball, and it doesn't help our
Yeah.
backup, and it's a detriment. Yeah,
I'm glad that Fasusi got some run. We talked about it. It was the exact conversation that came up before the game. Are they gonna, hold Fasusi back, give him another week to be healthy, let him show up against Texas and just be ready to go? And it's clear that Fasusi probably was pretty close to 100%,
yeah, he looked
but
good.
that he still looks like the best lineman. He is the only player that in the run game, pass game too. Like he does a great job just moving his feet, staying in front of guys. He gets a lot of depth in his back pedal. He really knows how to. He's just such a good athlete. But he's the only player that consistently puts his man 5 to 7 yards beyond the line of scrimmage almost every play. It's funny because Ozeta could do that, but I also saw the comment just on some of the pulling and the counter that they aren't trying to kill people, and I think that's the concerning element. There's not a lot of ferocity when they run that stuff, and it's almost like they're kind of walking through it a little bit. It's like they're okay. I got to be at this spot. If I'm at this spot, I'm good. There's no ferocity outside of a handful of players, a handful of times. And Simmons got worked with a lot of inside moves. He'll see that on film and be able to hopefully fix that, hopefully address that against Texas because they will try to expose that. And I think the other piece was, and I think we mentioned this before the show started, um, was they ran against numbers so much in this game where that they
Oh
would
yeah,
actually be outnumbered to either side, and they would still run the play,
yeah.
basically saying, "This is Kent State. We're going to go and try to make." Let's do the Lincoln Riley thing. And no matter what we're in, no matter what the call is, if we execute, we have better athletes and we're going to win the play. And I think there was quite a bit of that at the center spot. Even though there seems to have been improvement, they never can quite get the backer out of the play on some of the inside stuff. DMAC, it's almost like it's just not as clean and precise. Like the stuff where, and maybe talk about it a little bit, where the center will kind of chip on that guy playing inside, and then after that he works up inside to the backer. It's never quite clean enough to where the back that happened against for Blaylock down at the goal line, right, where the backer ends up stopping him 3 or 4 yards short of the goal. They pass it to
Yeah,
Helms the next play,
yeah.
and he scores the touchdown. But what do you do? And to me, like we can be like super hyperbolic and say that the O line sucks. It's really small details to me that are keeping them from being their best. How, from a football standpoint, do you fix that, or does it come down to just, does Arbuckle get into these big games, these last what, seven that he has? Does he just scheme around that and know, like, here's what I got, let's be as good as we can at most of this stuff, but then I'm going to scheme the other things and get us into good situations? Or does there have to be fundamental progress that takes place where the center does clean out that backer and the running back is able to make that guy in the hole miss and then take it the distance?
There's two train of thoughts, Barry. Um, the first one is kind of pragmatic in saying we are who we are. The fact of the matter is our offensive line is not physical enough to make teams say you got to get up in order to stop the run. Teams can stay base, and when the backers have 4 yards, it's hard to block backers. It's what it is, right? If we don't duo block, which we don't, it's not our scheme, um, and duo up on backers, then guards who are uncovered have to find backers, and they either have to be really good at angles, which Ozita hasn't shown he is. 54 is not terrible at it, but
Hmm.
the pragmatic piece is our O line, for all their strengths and warts, 5 games into the second year with essentially the same group, aside from Fasusi obviously coming back is a big deal, and then Simmons on the other side. Well, I guess we got a new center too now. Um, the talent is not great. And this is why I don't want to argue with people about the offensive line, because we know, like, we knew when we had a Joe Moore, or what is it, Joe Moore? That's what it's called, right? The offensive line award.
Joe
It's a
Moore.
Joe Moore
Yeah.
one. We knew when we had those dudes in 16, 17, 18. We knew it, like, and other teams knew it. And when you have an offensive line like that, teams have to take chances. And when teams have to take chances, that's how you get creases, right? When teams don't have to take chances, you said something that was extremely intelligent, which is there were a lot of plays where there's 9 guys at 3 levels watching the run game, which makes it very difficult for running backs to bust 70, 80 yarders, especially without misdirection. Because the offensive line can only block 5 to 6, depending on how you do it. A tight end is generally kicking out or running through, right? So let's just say they can block 7. Now you're expecting receivers to block backers and safeties consistently in order for the play to go. They say if the line blocks it up, it should get you 6 to 10. Receivers are what make 50-yard touchdowns, is because they are blocking down the field essentially, or running guys off because they're in some type of risky defense. Well, they played a big cover 2, cover 4 the entire game. One, because we didn't take shots. Like I said, I wish we had taken 3 or 4 shots, which would have helped us in the run game. And two, because our offensive line hasn't shown at any given time that defenses have to make risks. Mackey, what's a risk? A run blitz. What's a risk? A pass blitz, right? What's a risk? A bear front. When you have 5 men on the line of scrimmage, guess what happens? There's less men at the second level. So if you block up the first level, there's less guys to miss at the second level. Now you got a higher opportunity to make a big play, right? So teams don't have to. I think teams are playing a 30 front with the stand up. That's 8 guys who don't can look at the ball from snap to handoff. Really? Does that make sense to everybody? If I'm in a 40 front, I've got 4 dudes who are coming out of a 3-point stance. They can't necessarily see. They have to trust their technique and do what they're taught to do and then feel. But if I've got 8 dudes and only 3 dudes with their hand in the dirt, there's 8 dudes that can see from hike to handoff. And if I got safeties robbing the C gaps, they're going A gap, B gap, C gap, don't let the ball get inside of you. It's very difficult. And that is a response to our offensive line just not being extremely physical. Ladies and gentlemen, we knew that last year. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting better at it this year. And teams won't put themselves in situations where they have to give up, 50-yard plays until we show we can break them. And our running backs haven't shown they can run through traffic. Again, anybody who like Tawi was on our team 2 years ago, just watch what he was doing at Cincinnati yesterday.
Yeah.
Barry, go like it's like, bruh, like
Yeah.
he was dishing, and the kid from Missouri and the running back from Florida against Texas. Let's be real. That kid broke tackles to make really good runs or have patience and vision to run where people weren't. Go watch the game. That's literally what you want your running back to be able to do. So, yeah, from the offensive line perspective, we're average, guys. We're average. I don't think we should beat a dead horse about we suck. They don't suck. If they sucked, we wouldn't be able to do what we need to do offensively. And if they suck, our OC's responsibility is to find the stuff that they suck the least at and get reps at that. And that's the other perspective I want to speak to. I More than I'm worried about our offensive line moving people, I'm worried about Arbuckle's ability to put our offensive line and running backs in position to have some level of success. Because what I've seen thus far, it's too bland. It's the football quarterback the couch quarterback, whatever they call that crap, right? What are they calling those? The armchair quarterback can read what we're going to do 50% of the time before we're going to do it, especially in the run game. Every time we're about to run the jet sweep, we can see it. So we know the defense. Oh, here it comes, because we see it, right? The armchair quarterbacks can see when we're going to run our inside zone. Why don't we run outside zone bend back sometimes? Which is really just inside zone. Do you guys does everybody know that? You can run outside zone bend back. It's really inside zone. It looks totally different to the defense. But the running back track is to get the defense to over pursue, so it creates natural lanes for the offensive linemen. The offensive linemen know it's bend back, so they're not going to get called for holding because the defense is going to see them bend back and they're going to have to come back across their face. It's the same freaking philosophy, but it gives the offensive team advantages. So I say to myself, there's no way he doesn't know simple stuff like that. Like, I'm not an O-line guy. I know enough O-line because I sat in meetings and coached football and was a head coach and coached at, Cedar Hill and was a student coach at IU. So I know enough and talked to O-line coaches. But like, there are things we can be doing that I presume we will do, Barry, that I just haven't seen him show yet. Because if he shows them, then he's a genius because it's not on film and teams are going to have to adjust. But if he doesn't have it in his bag, I'm going to have some concerns.
Interesting. I think the main thing that we have not seen yet that he did at Washington State was he was really good that when he had a player like a Burks or, let's say Jade Knott is the man, right? Let's say he was just not healthy. He was good at featuring and at getting those guys into positions. And that was the number one thing that everybody said when he was coming to OU was he is going to allow your players who are elite to be schemed up to have success. The same way Riley would feature a Mims, feature a Westbrook, right? You would just get them in spots where it's like, this guy is the best player on offense. How is he ending up in a one-on-one or advantageous scenario where he's able to make a big play, make a chunk play? And you got to think too, again, the amount of times that they seem to just kind of line up and run it. And the plays that they left out, they probably left 60. They probably should have been in the 60s point wise, with just some of the things that were left on the board.
What
Where
do we
either
get? 44?
Hawkins they got
44?
44, and you
14
had
points easy.
yes, yeah, easy. So Hawkins had some missed throws. You had some drops. You had again running backs, and I want to, before we go too far into this and kind of close the show out. Thoughts on Jay Knott? Just while I'm still in that train of thought, what do you
He
think?
has something the other running backs don't. Okay, I'm gonna be a jerk. I'm gonna be a jerk. I'm gonna be a jerk, Barry.
Go for it. Let's do it.
I think there's enough film. I think there's enough film to suggest that Murray coaches a style of running the ball with our running backs. And as new running backs come in, they are coached out of their natural running style into his. Again, I said it before. If you go watch DeMarco as a freshman, he's a Reggie Bush style of running back. How often did Reggie Bush run the contact?
Never,
Never. You
never,
feel me?
never.
Never. Now,
Open
go watch
space.
the injury. Go watch the injury, and then post injury, all of a sudden, DeMarco is like Blaylock. Like, bruh, he's
Physical man.
running people over, and then he gets to the NFL. And now he still has his speed, so we're not going to discount the fact that that DeMarco still has speed. But like, he's a different running back. He went from a Reggie Bush style to a AD kind of style. And even AD ain't gonna run you over unless he got to. AD gonna beat you with speed, and he could shake you out your boots too. I just got into town. Guys, I think everybody who has eyeballs are like, he just looks different. He was more patient.
Hmm.
He never ducked his head until it was like, oh
Ever.
shit, the play's over. But like the in trash, 4 yards up the field, after he breaks the line of scrimmage, his head is up looking for where they're not, and that's where I'm going next. And I truly hope he keeps that, which seems to me, which is what we've revealed on film, is his natural running style. I hope he keeps it because he brings a different flavor to our offense. I'm gonna use a comp. I think he's what we expected Tatum to be. That's what to me,
Yeah.
Tatum was a guy who knew how to be where guys weren't. He could be physical when he needed to. If you watch Tatum's film's legit. But he hasn't, he couldn't hold on to the ball or stay healthy, right? Those are the two issues he had as a true frosh. But you see Blaylock, who's a solid guy, who's not going to run into his offensive line, but he breaks through the first level. He's ducking his head. If he doesn't have clear daylight, he's ducking his head and kind of bringing the wood to somebody. I gets to the second level, he'll take a step back and stop and hug his blocker and be like, "Where am I going? Okay, I'm going here next. Okay, now I'm dipping in, I'm dipping out." We need a little bit of that. I firmly believe that is an aspect of the offensive game plan that I think Ott can bring to the table. He has that patience. He has, and it's not dancing. He wasn't moving like he was just dancing the whole time. He kind of was just in
Yeah.
and out. And I think that it brings value. I said this on Twitter, and I'll say this, and then I'll wrap. But I said, by the way, did somebody just holy smacks? There you go, stink a cat, a
Yeah.
stink
Shout
ass
out,
cat.
man.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
his name?
thank you. I
Stink
appreciate
ass cat.
it.
Let's
Thank you.
go.
Thank you. Well, our super chat be smacking. Um,
There we
but
go, man.
um, here's what I believe, and I just like to tell people my truth. I don't know if it's right. I think we will find out Texas. If X Rob doesn't play Texas, he's gonna transfer out. And I'm not, if I had any type of insider knowledge, I wouldn't say it. So I'm 100% saying this because it is too apparent that we have an offense where our offensive line is not amazing. Okay, there's three things it just irks my soul, Barry. The offensive line is not amazing. I don't think anybody would say this is a offensive line equivalent to Baker's, right? Our running backs are not getting a ton of yards after contact. Is that right? Like, even Blaylock.
Mhm.
Blaylock's a guy who's
Yeah.
not incompetent, but he's not like just running through stuff and getting out of stuff and spinning out of stuff and going 10,
He
12,
just
15, 20
finishes
more yards.
well. He
Yeah, he
finishes
finishes and
well,
he's
but
got
that
he's got solid vision. He finishes well. And here's number three, Barry. There is very clear proof of Bama in Norman that X Rob can do it. He did it already. He literally did it. He literally did it in an SEC game against a well respected team with a well respected defense. He ran through trash, he broke tackles, and he punished defenders. There's no there's no reasonable answer as to why he isn't a, hey man, you're not the dude because of da 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 da, but every third or fourth possession, we're putting you in, go punish him. Prime example is go watch Georgia. Go watch Georgia's number two running back. Georgia's number one running back's a physical, strong, speed guy. I forgot his name. And if Ruben, I think he's Ruben some. I forgot his name. Go watch the number two running back. He's an ex Rob clone.
Hmm.
He's an ex Rob clone. And what he is able to do is on plays that are supposed to get 1 yard, he gets 2.5. On plays where you're supposed to get stopped at that line of scrimmage, he muscles for one. On plays he's supposed to get four, he'll get 8 or 9. He was really the turning point in Georgia versus Tennessee. It was him. He was a guy who they brought him in and he started leaning on people, and it was all the difference. X Rob has shown he can do that already, yet he gets no reps, 0 reps. So on one side where I'm like, okay, I get it. They're auditioning out to see what they have. They paid the kid 800K or whatever the rumor is. I don't know what whatever he's getting paid. They paid him some money. X Rob is a guy this offense, in my opinion, needs. He is a key component. Them Ole Miss games when we're in 2nd and 9, and his ability to take a play where a backer gets cut clean and kind of just shuck him off and go get 8 versus Ott and or Blaylock and or God forbid Barnes just being tackled. Now it's 3rd and 8. Those plays are worth wins. They're literally worth wins. And for him, Barry, I think he got like 1 carry against Temple at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's hardly played.
And I don't know if it's health. Maybe it is, but I'm just telling you, if we don't see him Saturday, he's he's for sure gonna make sure he doesn't waste 4 games, so he keeps a year because he's a young guy. He didn't
Yeah.
redshirt last year. He played and got out his redshirt. And to me, that is a huge, huge mistake. Again, I want to just preface again, in case anybody hears this. I am only saying this based upon my own thoughts. I haven't heard anything. When I hear stuff, I won't it's not my job. Parker and Brandon and the rest of the crew do that kind of stuff. You get some information and you say what you feel is stuff you need to say. When I hear information like that, I don't say anything because it's not my gig to do it. That's how I generally feel. Give me a good reason why he shouldn't get any carries when he has a skill set so much different than the rest of our running backs.
There's not a good one. And I'll say, this when it comes to Murray and just when it comes to coaches in general, you know, Riley was not an elite quarterback when he played at Texas Tech. I know the second Riley reference, but bear with me. But one of the things he was great at, and the reason why he had 5 quarterbacks starting in the NFL this past weekend, and by the way, some of them, Baker was not some perennial, so he had a lot of talent, right, and a lot of innate ability, but Riley, you saw the progression year over year over year with Baker. You saw it with Kyler. He was a different quarterback at A&M than he was at Oklahoma. You saw it with Jalen, different quarterback than he was at Bama when he got to OU. And sometimes when you are an elite player and you played a certain way, you're biased to that style of play, you're biased to that way of doing things. And coaches, one of the biggest things that I see in the field in general is just getting out of your own way and being willing and open-minded enough to say, that's a style of play that can help. But then not only that, being able to see those things, like see what X Rob's abilities are, and then coach and cultivate that and say, how can I make what he is already doing better? How can I look at that player and say, what do I need to do to make X Rob better at being X Rob,
Yep.
not make X Rob play like DeMarco Murray? And that to me is if I'm watching as an onlooker, and now we have years of data. You have
Yep.
Smothers transferring out, you have Tawi Walker transferring out, you have Kennedy Brooks taking a year off and getting better, right, when he comes back in 19 to play that or 20 when he comes back, right, or 20, I guess 21, right, he comes back and helps win the game with Caleb Williams against Texas because he sat out
Yep.
COVID year. And he purposely sat out because he didn't trust. This is just out there now. He didn't trust. He wanted to do his own thing. and decided that's how he needs to play. And then now you see Javonte Barnes regress from being the back. I know he dealt with injuries, but it's
Can I
not
ask you a
just the
question?
injuries.
Can I
Go
ask you a
for it.
question? You're,
Go
by the
for
way,
it.
you're cooking. You're cooking. So keep that thought. Did you notice he didn't get a carry? Did you notice? I don't think he got a snap.
Not one
What's that
snap.
about? What's that about?
No idea.
What's that
No
about?
idea.
That's
It doesn't
interesting
make
to
any
me.
sense.
I don't
That
understand. He got
I
zero
don't think
snaps.
we I don't think there was injury stuff. I think he just got 0 snaps. So I find it fascinating. Every single player that he has coached has regressed and or transferred out. Caleb Hicks even has looked solid at Oklahoma State. He's not been
Is that
great,
where
but
he
he's
is?
looked
He went to
good.
Okie State?
Yeah, he went to Okie State.
Wow.
Yeah. So you got Smothers doing it right out in NC
Balling.
State. You have players who are capable.
750 total yards and like 6 TDs, bro. He's at 750 total yards. He got 200 passing, 500 rushing. Balling.
And to me,
Sawchuk.
it is such yeah, Sawchuk as well at Florida State. You have players who are capable, but the biggest issue that I have seen is what they are being coached to do, and you see it. You see it with how they find the hole, you see it with how they navigate the hole, you see it with the patience or lack thereof. One of the things that you saw with Ott that you don't see with everybody else, and Blaylock just happens to be like a hit the gas and go back, or one cut back. Blaylock is patient. I saw in the comments he's a Le'Veon Bell style back. He's going to pitter pat and then cut and then pat and then cut and then pat and then cut. And that's the way that he plays the game. If you tell him and coach him and then start giving him negatives when he plays that way, it's going to change his style. And that is what you have seen historically. Tawee ran like that. Tawee had a play against Cincinnati when he played for Oklahoma, where after he gets through the initial wave, the initial line of scrimmage, he has his head looking one way. It's very nuanced stuff. He's looking this way, but knows he wants to get over here. He uses the head fake, uses the hips, gets to where he needs to be, and then you don't see him the rest of the game. It has never made sense to me. It has always been frustrating to me. And I say this knowing that I know coaches who do this. I know coaches who are just not great coaches. Like they have a
Stand for the people in the back.
great reputations. Kel Gundy was not a running back, but Kel Gundy was a great coach. And you know how I know DMAC? Because he knew how to make it work with every position he ever worked with. He knew how to study what needs to be done at that position, study what does it look like to be good at that position, and then take that data, take that knowledge, create an individualized plan for every single one of those players and get them to have progress. It's not overly complicated, but it is complicated when in the coaching circle, the biggest issue that we say coaches have is ego. That is the number one thing that prevents a coach from having success. We either say that coaches can be me focused or they can be player focused, right? Brett Bartholomew talks about it in conscious coaching. It's like a very intentional thing that good coaches do. And if you do not have the ability to dissolve your ego enough to say, you know what, the way I did it was elite, but it doesn't have to be my way. If you don't have that capability, you're not going to be a good coach, no matter where you are. And that's why we have Taylor Tatum, Javonte Barnes, Gavin Sawchuk, Jaden Ott, all elite backs, and none of them, DMAC, can get it done. Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray.
Kennedy ain't
He was when DeMarco first got there.
Kennedy is
Kennedy was already settled.
exactly. Kennedy was not
Yes.
his recruit. We ain't giving him
Yeah.
Kennedy. Eric Gregg, and I'm also not shitting on DeMarco. But it is what it is. You feel me? Like,
It is what
again,
it is.
Sooner, legend. You know what I'm saying? He, by the way, he was around for some good backs too. Like, he gets credit for the continued development of some of the guys who, like, I don't know if he caught the tail end of Mixon and P. Ryan. I don't know if he caught the tail end of the kid that transferred to Ohio State. I don't remember. My point is, he
I
was
think that was all
around when we
Boulware.
was it
I
all
think that was
Bower?
all. I
He
think that
was
was all
around when we had
Boulware.
decent running backs. Kennedy Brooks,
Yeah.
right? So, and he's a good player. But god dang it, his people say, "Oh, is it him or is it the O line?" Okay, that's fair. We can say that, but we can also say if we're gonna have issues with the O line and their limitations, we have to have the same issues with running back. Because again, I promise you guys, if running back was a position that was designed to everything to be blocked up perfect, you'd have track dudes playing running back. You'd have the fastest guy who could get through there. Running backs are designed to break tackles. That's part of the gig. It's part of the gig to make guys miss. It's part of the gig to see where the play is designed to go and then go where the actual air or daylight is. That's the gig. That's the gig you sign up for when you play running back. And our offensive line, yes, they got to improve. I would argue, and I'm not the biggest Beating Bow guy. Beating Bow's a good guy. When I see Beating Bow, actually, we have good dialogue. But I mean, he's recruiting dudes now.
Hmm.
Can we not at least admit that he's brought in Fasusi last cycle, and he's got a top kids from Oklahoma, but I don't care. He brought in a 4-star and a 5-star in the last 2 weeks. Like, we gotta like that part of it. And Fasusi has come in and he's probably our best O lineman day one. Kid's probably, by the way, we didn't even talk about it. His guy never got close.
Yeah.
His guy,
He
the
was
entire
phenomenal.
game, he Kent State. Like, you're stay in your place, young lad. Right? He did to the Kent State, whoever he was lined up against. And I don't, like you said, you brought up some good points. I don't know if there's a play where he's supposed to combo or something, and he, you know, he gets a negative, but like he never just gets out athleted the entire game. No one out athletes him. Nobody bull rushes him into Hawkins. It doesn't happen. Better players are going to help. We need running backs that can make the play happen. And you're right. There's enough data. Everything's data driven now. Everything is data in life. Everything's data driven now. There's enough data that suggests that we need to get more out of the running back position the same way we need to get more out of the offensive line position. And I think you got to put an explanation point at the end of that. Like, it's not a comma, it's not an ellipse, it's not a maybe, it's not a 2 more years. At this point, it's been Eric Gray is what you hang your hat on, and he's a cup of coffee dude in the league. Versus, oh, but let's do relative any of his other counterparts at the running back position. He can't compete with Boulware's success in the NFL. He cannot compete with Kale. In fact, he's a part of Kale's. You know what I'm saying? He,
Facts.
as a
Yeah.
player, is a part of Kale's chops. He's got to maintain that level. Beatenbow is competing with Beatenbow. Beatenbow has been the man in college football. So that's a different animal to me. He's got to improve too, and I think he is. I think the offensive line is doing. You said it last week. About this time of year is when they start to pick it up. We'll see if that happens. But yeah, Demarco has to improve. His players have to improve. All of it has to get better. Period. Period. Period.
100%.
Stevenson. Is Stevenson? Yeah, that's a good one. But I feel like Stevenson isn't here. I think he's Bowears.
Stevenson, he was relatively developed by the time he got to
One of my
DeMarco, if I
favorite backs,
remember
bro.
right.
I'm gonna check right now.
He
Let me
was
see what his
great.
class is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because didn't he? I think he transferred in. But I remember even with him, the
JUCO. He
the
was a JUCO guy.
what we were saying was that he was the only back they had. He was it. And outside of him, nobody developed. And you said this last week, or last pod, when Kale was coaching running backs, everybody was solid.
Oh,
Everyone from 1 through 4 was you would have I think in a year you had what Brennan Clay, Roy Finch, the other guy who played next to Clay, I can't remember. You always, even in the down years, you had
yeah.
somebody in the leaner years like 05, 06, you had AD, but then you
Whaley.
had Alan Patrick, you had
Yeah,
Dominic Whaley in the early
yeah,
2010s, you had
yeah.
Damian Williams who came out of
Baller.
nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Baller, by the way, at OU and in the league. The guy, the next man up, played well. That means as a again, you're saying this is further confirming my thoughts, and I'm not saying I know, but like, is it weird that when Kale was the guy, or even Bower was the guy, whoever the main guy was, when he didn't play, the next guy was able to emulate some of the attributes and characteristics of what we needed the main guy to do versus
Mhm.
DeMarco, whoever the main guy is, the backups and secondary guys essentially do the same thing the main guy does. Like we're not running the daylight. We're not being patient. We're not being physical. We're not breaking tackles. Like whether it's the main guy, whoever he has chosen, or the guys who are the supplementary guys for three. By the way, Ramondre Stevens 2019. I just checked. I think DeMarco got the job in 2020, so he doesn't get credit for Ramondre. Just FYI.
No.
Ramondre's
Yeah. Him
Oklahoma
and Brooks.
2019. Yeah. And so I think Kennedy Brooks coming back after all those guys left, Perkins and Isaiah Thomas and the rest of those guys, I think that Kennedy comes back, but I don't Ramondre's not here. Ramondre leaves before he comes. He doesn't get that credit.
Man.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, man. I don't know, guys. Well, the year has to play. The beautiful thing is this: we're at a point in the year where we're 5-0. We earn the right to be 5-0. I think Ott has shown we have some versatility at running back. I think he showed enough to garner more reps. In Mackey's perfect world, we have four running backs, and I think Blaylock. If, if you had to do it today, I think Blaylock's the first guy in.
Yeah.
I think Barnes is. By the way, somebody said, which is probably true, but I'm just gonna say my truth. Somebody said Barnes got to sit out like JJ got to sit out. JJ being Jaden Jackson. Let me tell everybody something. Jaden Jackson got to sit out because they can't risk him getting hurt.
Oh,
Barnes got to
facts.
sit out because they wanted to see what Ott could do. It had nothing to do with wanting to protect Barnes and his availability. that was
Gotta
I
make sure
promise.
you have bars.
They weren't
You
trying to
miss
make. They were like,
What'd you
"Hey, bro,
call
you
him?
know,
Form tackle?
you're not." Shut up. See, there you go, bro. I'll be getting DM now. Here you go. Stop,
Uh
because somebody's gonna DM me that I can't believe you called him form tackle. Like, well, damn, he gets form tackle more than anybody in America. Um, but no, Barnes. I think he got demoted. And
yeah.
they could wrap it up however they want to wrap it. Hey man, we need you for Texas. No, they wanted to see what Ott could do, and they wanted to make sure he got a lion's share of reps. Barnes is not a guy. That would be like them telling me Mark Clayton is coming in. I slot. Hey Mackie, we need to save you for for Kansas next week. It's OU Texas. It's OU Texas week, and they telling me, you know, what I'm saying, we want to keep you on the shelf so that when we play Kansas, we good. No, bro. Barnes was on the bench because they wanted to see what
Oh
Ott could
man.
do, not to protect because he's some G14 classified individual that we need to keep healthy. No shot to him, but he got
Yeah,
demoted for
sure.
a week for us to get a good look at it.
Well,
100%.
this was the last week, right? After this, you're in the grind now. So
Yeah.
this was like nut cutting time for Jaden Knott. Like you either show it this week because when we get into the play against what Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, like the rotation is shortening and the things are going to be schemed up. They're going to be very scheme driven. So this was your last time to really like show what you could do. So we are not going to continue stop showing what we can do here on the Barry Mack Show. Want to thank everybody, man, 300 plus for hopping in on the live. Shout out. Let's make sure we got to all these super chats just real quick. Seth Ammerman, big shout out. DMAC, give a reason not to freak out about the O line. I think we talked about that enough. Shout out to Awesome Blade. Going to be doing a little more member stuff, guys. So just be on the lookout. We're going to be doing that. And then shout out to Stink Ass Cat. Big shout out to Stink Ass Cat. He hit the nail on the head
Is that
on
our
all
second $100
topics.
super chat, bro? I think that's the
I
second
think
time.
so, man.
I think that's the
I'm
second
waiting,
time.
man.
Didn't Roy Lee give us $100? Roy Lee gave
Roy
us
Lee
$100 too,
also
right?
did that, and that for anybody, yeah, YouTube's weird on some of the payout stuff, so we're waiting on that. But anyways,
I ain't worried about it.
hey man, very cool guys. I appreciate just all the support. Doing the podcast is very fun. We enjoy it. Love the post game stuff. OU Texas, I believe we are going to all these kind of rum dum games. Sometimes it's good to be on live. I was actually at a youth football game, watching some youngsters play ball and watching Bixby, watching the best high school team in America. I went to their homecoming game, D-Mac. They beat
Mm,
Moore 82 to
time out.
6.
Did you say the best high school in America? Because rivals gave. Okay, I see what you did there. All
They
right,
got
bro.
the hey D-Mac, you
I
got to rate
saw it.
somebody number one.
I saw it. I saw it.
Somebody's got to be number one.
One publication rated them number one. One.
Somebody's got to be rated number
Let me
one.
stop hating. I saw it,
You
and it was a big
used to
deal.
be Jinx. Used to be
I know.
Jinx. Shout
Yeah,
out
yeah, yeah.
Jinx. It's not Jinx anymore. It's the guy who left Jinx who could have took Jinx to that next level. Do you know that?
Oh wow,
Montgomery was on Trimble's staff. And then I know I could give you guys some tea about this. Montgomery
wow.
was on Trimble's staff, and there was a segment of people who wanted Montgomery, who's now at Bixby, to continue the legacy. Because Trimble, he was kind of at the tail end. He still ended up having some good years, and God rest his soul, what he went through and all that, just his health down the stretch. But there were people who wanted Montgomery to stay because they saw the creativity, they saw the things that he was going to do. And the system he runs at Bixby is like brilliant. You could probably never take it into the college game, but he runs a really cool offense that gets tons of kids the ball. Right, you might have a lot of times like Jinx right now. Caden Jones is a primary piece to their offense that they're currently running. And they've had success. But Bixby, you might have 7 different kids score touchdowns. Like it is which isn't super common in the high school football realm, right? Usually you'll have like 2 or 3 guys who are really your
Yep.
mainstays. They have tons of players over in Bixby, and they got and I think Braden Presley decommitted from Oklahoma State, so we'll see where he goes. They got another Presley out in
Oh,
Bixby
I heard
who's
I heard he's one of the studs. Yeah, corner, right?
yeah,
He's a corner.
he's a killer. Him and McLaughlin is another kid who's really good. There's a kid named Emery who's also really solid. They got some players, so but Bixby's gonna keep growing. And Moore had some guys, man. You get on the west side, the teams aren't as good on the west side, but I think the high level talent, just like the D1 kind of talent, is usually a little higher over there. So interesting stuff. D-Mac, closing thoughts. Let's get out of here, man.
Number one, um, shout out to my people on Sooner Ball Talk, my alumni group on Facebook. Y'all are hilarious. I love you guys to death. You guys are my village. I don't shoot you guys out enough. They support the podcast hardcore. Number two, I'm just saying this on a whim. 4 members, because you said we got like 25 or 30 members. What I think I'm going to start doing, Barry, is once a week, just doing a D-Max locker room. You're welcome to come too, but just to make sure we have a weekly content kind of a
Yeah.
space, we'll just do some Q&A and talk about some schemes. I'm buying a new computer so that I will be able to leverage my screen like a whiteboard like I used to do. So we'll bring that back. I'm getting a computer. Yeah, I'm cheap, bro. I'm cheap. And then number 3, 10 thoughts tonight. Go ahead and cue it up, Barry. I'm gonna do 7 o'clock
I'll cue
PST.
it up.
And so, guys, I'll do my I did my 10 thoughts on OUI. I'm gonna do it tonight to make sure we get the content, can keep the content rolling. If you guys are available, probably do 45 minutes. And yeah, man, keep the show rolling, man. Keep the show rolling. Appreciate you guys. But I don't mind the critiques, and I don't mind you talking about. I don't mind people like Mackey. What did you do? All you gotta do is go on YouTube, put Damian Mackey highlights and watch the show. Just watch it. And you know what I'm saying? You'll be like, oh, okay. Don't forget, I was a redshirt freshman and a redshirt sophomore. My last 2 years, I didn't play. Just remember that when you going out there critiquing what the kid did, because 2 young lads from Union City, California, named Roy Williams and Damian Mackey, found their way to Oklahoma, and we brought on the ship. And you can't hate on it. You can't take it away from us. And it happened. There's only one, baby. Nah, good times, good
Let's
times,
go.
good times.
Good times. Want to thank everybody for hopping on today. Make sure to go check out all the social media, subscribe and share the show, guys. That is the best way to show your love and appreciation. We are now thoroughly over 2,000 subs. We're climbing, trying to
Yeah, let
get
me
to
check.
5, trying to get to 10, trying to grow the show. So like, share, subscribe, let everybody know. And as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.